Hi, everybody. I'm gonna take a second here and see how long it takes for me to come on the screen and see if we're having the extreme lag problem. So you might get a little bit of feedback here in a second when I change things. I'm gonna turn up my volume a little bit maybe to see what. Okay. Hi, everybody. Whoa, everything's fucking working. That's crazy. And see how long it takes. Good to know. I had to send in information to Streamlabs and be like, what's going on? And they were like, oh my God, we fixed it. Let us know if you have any further problems. And I was like, thank you. Thank you, Puggles. Starting us off strong with the 5 Australian units. Thank you very much. Yes, no Streamlab at the moment. Thank you, Drea. Hi, Byron. Yeah, I can't believe this jazz was written by a dog. Crazy. Tink the Tot, welcome to the website chat. Any of you hanging out in the YouTube chat, which there are a bunch of you right now. What's up, Mosh, Cursed Chaos, Mossy Punk, John Bainbridge, Nikki Star. If you guys are able and you did not know, this over here is my website chat. This is not Twitch. It is my website, luxander.net/live. If you would like to join the chat over there where you can custom set your pronouns. That's one of the nice things about it over here. Yes. Huzzah for getting things fixed. Thank you, Kitty. Indeed. $5 Australian translates to $3.18 USD. And I will put the cents up there to drive someone crazy. Someone out there has to donate 72 cents. $5.72 or whatever. Anyway, I'm glad that everything is working. I'm glad that you can see me. Hell yes. We're gonna chill. Hey, Zula. Hoya, indeed. Whenever people go, hoy, it reminds me of that one character from Undertale, whose name I cannot remember. But yeah, hi, everybody. Hey, 50. Just peeking in. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Yes, everybody should do what 50 has done, which is you should leave a like on the video. Even if you don't plan on sticking around. Today is a no news day. No news. I'm sure that we will talk about some serious topics as we meander. But you know, I've got like some stuff going on. I've got some thoughts. Temmie, it's Temmie. God bless Temmie. Hello, Lemony Limelight. Still a great name. Good to see you on the website. Oh gosh, I did not warm up my voice today, girls. So part of the reason why I did not stream on Sunday, in fact, a large part of the reason why I did not stream on Sunday is that, yeah boy, had a very sore throat for not being sick reasons. Time to chill with some new Oblivion Remastered. Hell yes. I've been basically doing nothing gaming-wise except for World of Warcraft recently. Which, like, we got our main characters to level 60, and then my partner abandoned his level 60 to go level up a rogue, and so I don't really, like, the point of playing WoW is to play with people, and now I don't have anyone to play with. So I'm kind of like, I don't play a lot of games in general in my free time, typically speaking, which is, yeah, I don't know, I guess it just stops doing the dopamine. But then occasionally you'll be like, I have to play Stardew Valley for 40 consecutive hours, you know? Oh, Drea, no, I was being circuitous. I was indicating that my throat was sore, but not because I was sick this weekend, making an allusion to oral sex that I had done in a vigorous manner, such that my throat was sore. That was what I was trying to not say directly. I said my throat was sore, but not for sick reasons. But also I was just fucking tired. And, you know, sometimes you just need a break. Sometimes you just need to take a day off. But I am glad I am back. It's good. It's okay, Drea. No worries. For anybody who's curious, I am not going to be on Takis tomorrow. Takis tomorrow should be, I think, Ben and Josie. But then next week on Beltane, oh, fuck. Oh, I didn't even make that connection. It's gonna be fucking Beltana, and I have to fucking do Takis. Oh, well. I'll celebrate it on the weekend. Mo, she cracked me up. Not the vigorous oral sex in this economy. You know, shit happens. Oh boy. How's everybody been? Fucking tired, but you know what's funny is that it was the 2 days after thing. You know, when you are like, you work out your muscles. Like today, for example, I'm extremely sore in a full body kind of way because I've been exercising with energy this week. So it was that 2 days after thing that I was dealing with on Sunday. Fun times. Alive and playing a lot of video games. Hell yeah, kitty. Totally. I've picked up the self-care app again. Hands up if you have ADHD and you have this problem. So a lot of people have this thing where it's like, oh, you cannot form a habit until after like 30 days or maybe 28 days. The number varies, right? You're like, if you want to form a habit, you have to do it every day for 28 days, and then it kind of becomes a habit. Does anybody who has ADHD have the opposite thing where you're like, I've decided that I'm going to have a new habit and I do it every day for a month, and then just dramatic, precipitous, complete lack of interest in doing it almost immediately? Like I'll do like Duolingo for 30 days and then be like, I'm done with this. And I don't know why. It's very strange. So I just picked up the Finch app again. It's the little self-care. You got a little bird to take care of. And I just discovered some new features on it. I don't know if they're new or if it's just like I hadn't pressed that button before. But I have realized also that with ADHD, I think that it's better to create like options for yourself rather than trying to create a rigorous routine where you do the same thing every day. Cause God, that shit gets annoying fast. So I'm kind of like, you know, working on some of these habits, and I added a ton of different tasks that I could do Finch. So like I instead of like, okay, every day I need to do all 7 of these things, it's instead like, here's 47 different things you could do that are, and like then they're by category for self-care. So it's like self-compassion or connection or movement. So they're kind of categorized like that, and I can choose like from a bunch of different options, which actually feels better. So that's a little thing I'm trying out. I'm trying out in the morning, making myself my hot beverage and then stepping outside for 10 minutes and just kind of, you know, letting myself experience the chill and a little bit of like indirect sunlight. So yeah, that's just kind of this week. I'm trying out some of this new stuff. When not GMing or working on dissertation, discovering the joys and frustrations of the Monkey Island games. Ooh, I've heard of those before. Do they come recommended? Do people like the Monkey Island games? Kitty Tick is making a quilt. My mother-in-law is a quilter. In fact, you may remember in previous iterations of the set, I had usually it was on this side of me, a big quilt that my mother-in-law actually made. I absolutely cannot form lasting habits. The more often I do something, the less interesting it becomes. If I want to meditate regularly, I need lots of different variations to keep it engaging for my brain. Yeah, and that is kind of what I'm doing with Finch. Because like a lot of the things on there are actually a kind of mindfulness, but it's like stuff like, enjoy your lunch without screen time, or like savor each bite, or like put your fork down in between each bite or something when you're eating. Like really take the time to savor it. Or one of them under the gratitude heading is like, take a moment to appreciate how beautiful the sky is. And it's like, okay, it's getting you out of your head. It's getting you observing. It's getting you existing in your body and in your life. And I think it's just better for you. I think it's just better for you. Drea says, as someone who's mega habitual, have to be careful not to mess with addictive substances. Oh, okay. I hadn't really made that connection before, but that's a good point. In a box. Hello. The Monkey Island games are great. Just sometimes force you to use a little cartoon logic. Okay, fair. You know, in a box, I never really thought about it until just now. But your name does bring to mind the how does it go? Lizzie's in a box, Lizzie's in a box, that the Scottish people were saying when the Queen Elizabeth died. And I've seen people making jokes about Joanne. Joanne's in a box, Joanne's in a box. Which I'm sure that many of us will celebrate when she dies. We're not here to talk about J.K. Rowling. We will talk about it on Sunday. That's like the one thing I feel bad about missing stream this past weekend for, was because like that's the big story from trans news this week, is the Supreme Court decision. Didn't know that. Oh, yeah. Hold up. Let me see if I can find one for you. Lizzie's in a box, Lizzie's in a box. Joanne, stay out of my box. True. Okay, let's see if we can find it. So yeah, basically the Scottish are like, fuck you, she's dead. In a box, no. Anyway, that's their way of celebrating that she's a corpse. Ooh, Kitty's gonna lay it on us. So with ADHD, we don't get the same internal reward from just having done the thing, and eventually when we are tired of waiting for that good feeling, we will just stop the behavior. IDK how that affects habit making specifically, but it might just be that we have to look harder for things our brain perceives as rewarding, and we also have to find a way to avoid burnout. Daily habits are good, but a weekly routine is better. Kitty says, I'm considering a list of things I can choose to do from... I assign arbitrary points and have rewards and can just take a day off as long as I have been sort of keeping up. I also use dice or a spinner wheel to pick my task if I am having executive dysfunction. Yeah, the difficulty in choice. That's awesome. Yeah, I was researching a little bit recently and like looking around, and it does seem that offering yourself options can be way better for people with ADHD. Rather than like a strict, you have to do every single one of these every single day. So it's like, yeah, the way that the Finch app is set up, there's 7 different categories of self-care that it has. So, you know, calm, connection, movement, self-compassion, whatever. And I feel like if I hit at least one of, I put like at least 4 in each section. I was like, let me pick a bunch of goals that can even obscurely kind of work for me. So I have lots of different options to choose from, and I think that's going to make it a little bit easier to keep up with it. But hey, we only just got back into it this week, so we'll see how long that lasts. Also, I have sufficiently recovered from my move such that I can lift weights again. So I'm so fucked up sore right now. I did some pull-ups and all kinds of nonsense this week. It's like, let's take a little inventory. This is one of those good things that you can do as a mindfulness thing. Smack your desk, first of all, but take a little inventory and like, okay, I have pain under here. Like that, whatever, there's a muscle or something under there that hurts, okay? I'm a little bit sore in my neck and traps, but that's not as bad as some of my other stuff going on. This part of my abs, oh, she hurts. It's not good. Hurts pretty bad. I've been stretching and doing cat-cows and stuff to try to... it's like a really weird sensation for your abs to feel tight. My back also hurts, kind of in the middle of my back. I've been working my shoulders out like a crazy person. What's up, Curse Chaos? Yeah, Kitty says, Having a strict schedule is bad, but just having a nice set of options that you need to complete 3 out of 6 that day makes it easier. At least for me. I'm not in a good space right now and need to actually put my charts and systems back together. Totally. Totally. Creating a dice roll table for chores sounds like it would be helpful, but also I worried I'd accidentally use it in a game. That's fair. Excuse me. Totally. I haven't. Yeah, I didn't really consider using a dice roll. The great thing is that if you have a table of options, you can go, okay, well, here's my options, and you can go, oh, well, I've done this same one like 3 days in a row. What if I did a different one? I've been printing pictures of hot men on a very tiny printer. Oh no. Hey, listen, I want to say that's a great thing. Getting an appointment for ADHD meds, like having been avoiding psych doctors for a long time, I do think it is worth being afraid of lists right now. RFK Jr. just said that he's going to create a list of autistic people. And he has also said that people with ADHD, like, first of all, he's skeptical that ADHD exists. He's like, oh, this didn't exist when I was a kid. Maybe because you were a fucking child and you didn't know anything about anything, and still don't for that matter. But he has said, like, oh, I don't think people need these drugs. What if we instead put these people on an organic farm for several years and reparent them? Like, sir, I'm fucking totally functional, okay? And like the meds help. I don't really feel like I need them right now. Shit, maybe I'll take them again when I'm in school or something, but can I say some stuff about the UK this week, or are you absolutely committed to saving it for Sunday? I mean, I don't want to have an in-depth conversation about it today. You're welcome to say whatever needs saying. I just am trying to compartmentalize a little bit of like Wednesday streams. Like I need to have at least one stream that I do not dread coming on, because I know that I have to talk about violence and erosion of the rights of the group that I belong to and all the people that I love who also belong to this group. So I just I don't want to do this job anymore. Really fundamentally is the problem, and I'm just trying to make it tolerable for now until I figure something else out. So Sunday streams, like, that's when I have decided to do the bad news, because then I can like edit everything and get it all done, and boom, Monday or Tuesday it gets uploaded. And Wednesday just happens to be the day that I decided to chill the fuck out. So true. Yeah, the funny thing is that there were not lists for most of the time I was afraid, and now when I decide to actually work on my mental health, they want to make these lists. Yeah, Jesus Christ. Thank you, Kitty. I appreciate it. I'm proud of you, In a Box. In a Box says, this weekend I stood up to some Nazis. I got to piss them off. It was my good deed. Hell yeah. I'm psyched for you. And I know that you said that you were donating money to some charities and stuff that are directly fighting against this bullshit. So like, totally. I'm happy that that work is being done. I'm autistic. He is crazy. If this isn't already highly illegal, it should be. I'm kind of unclear, on is this a violation of HIPAA? Like, are we to understand that HIPAA just doesn't exist? Again, not trying to get too in depth on all this today, but it is like an interesting question. If they're making lists of autistic people, does that not violate HIPAA? Typically, like, I get like the government has to study things sometimes to make changes, but this feels kind of like unprecedented in American history. Maybe that's not the case, actually. Hell yeah, yes, donate to charities supporting the trans community. Absolument. Yeah, if I was American, I'd be on like 7 of these lists. Truly. concerning time to be alive. So, yeah, that's part of why I and a lot of other trans people are stepping away from this kind of work. Uh, maybe we're not stepping away from the public entirely, but we are finding different things to talk about. Or, y'all know the trans handy ma'am, Mercury Stardust. She, has that bright pink and purple hair, and she's a maintenance person. Like, she's been a maintenance person her whole life, just fixing things. And she makes these fun little videos that are like, here, let me show you how to do this. And she says, never forget you're worth the effort it takes to learn a new skill, or whatever it is that she says. And it's very supporting and uplifting, and she's great. I just saw her say that she has some contracts regarding being a public figure, and like probably advertisement stuff on her platforms, but that she is considering stepping away from being in the public eye after her contracts are up, which is going to be at the end of 2026. HIPAA is security theater. It really only protects you from individuals. Yeah. Like, I thought that, those records could be grabbed up by investigations, but that it had to be like for a legitimate security reason, I guess. But, whatever. I don't know. What's up, Sophie? Putting people on a list based on their diagnosis, even for the purposes of studies, seems very unethical, but what do I know about science? What's your PhD in, Byron? I forget. Without consent. Yeah, there's something to be said about, like, anonymous data can be collected, and that makes sense, like, for the purposes of making sure that, we're keeping track of things that matter, like contact tracing for COVID. Like, reporting individual cases can be important, but, what is the purpose of having a list of individuals? Like, that obviously represents a problem. HIPAA is not there to protect. Security is actually the opposite. It's there to facilitate information transfer. Yeah, but it just created rules around who is allowed to access that information. Like, if I get a new doctor, I have to sign a form that says, hey, can you please send my new doctor all of my information? Physics research in biophysics also studied ethics and psychology. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, Byron knows nothing about how to do science. TLDR. My brother's autistic and a nuke in the Navy. I'm autistic and was accepted into the nuclear program in the Navy. Honestly, who but an autist loves boats enough to keep an aircraft carrier floating? Truly. I mean, yeah. So there's a couple of things here. It can be difficult to talk about this issue without buying in accidentally to some of the premises being given to us by the fascists, right? RFK says, oh, autistic people never pay taxes, they never can date, they don't have full, complete lives. And, like, the reflexive response is for people to go, well, I am autistic and I pay taxes. Or, like, my son is autistic and he is in the Navy or whatever. Which I think, obviously that leaves out all of the autistic people who are what we would call, like, low functioning, I guess, or struggle with their activities of daily living, whatever. Like, people who don't pay taxes, people who likely won't date. That seems like an extreme minority of autistic people, but, like, making sure that we speak about these things in a way that confirms and reiterates that those people have value. Like, because life is valuable and because we as human beings have come to dominate this earth because of our ability to cooperate. And the fact that we help people when they break their leg, and that, maybe someone who does have a developmental disorder in the past would still be part of the community by they mind the children, or they stoke the fire, or whatever. If we, looking at like a regressive, like way back in evolutionary history of, you know, these people who have this view that there is such a thing as a useless eater. You know, I think I struggle with this topic a little bit because I'm not gonna like assert that someone must be useful in order to be deserving of life. That is not what I mean to imply. However, I guess I do still on some level feel like I don't I guess like for me value is somewhat tied to what you can do, which maybe that's internalized ableism. Obviously, I struggle with this internally as a disabled person who's like, I cannot do things. I tried to dedicate myself to a career as an electrician and I fucking can't do it. Right. But I value other things. So there's like this, I think that I'm kind of landing in this middle area where I do think that part of your value comes from what you can do. I just see value in more things that people do. Of like, yeah, if someone is like severely developmentally disabled, but they can entertain the children, then like that is value. That is value to a community. And like maybe someone on the commune is in a wheelchair and their hands don't work very well, but they can make the phone calls when you need a plumber or whatever. Like you can still contribute in some way. So like I'm working through what might be like a process of like I personally need to get out of a sense of like doing is value. Um but yeah, I don't know. I value things because of its impact on other things. Like hunting is good because of the effect that it has on the ecosystem. Death is good because of its effect on the ecosystem. Um, Otters are good because of their impact on the ecosystem. Dandelions are good because they provide for bees early in the season, even if they are not native here. I think usefulness is a broad thing in general. Goldfish are useless flyers, you know? Fucking true. Yeah, goldfish. Man. Yeah, true. Because it's a, like, yeah, that thing of like, if you are perceiving your value through a certain lens, like productivity, you know, if we've constructed a system where your value is primarily can you do physical labor, or can you generate revenue? Can you generate financial value? Um, and like we have this system where mothers are undervalued. The work that they do is not considered worthy of respect. The work that they do is not considered worthy of payment. Um, but if we lived in a society where like bearing and raising children is a highly valued thing, that would be a step in what I believe is the right direction. Sophie says, you're an atheist, though, so you're missing the internal moral judgment of, am I a useful eater? There is a mystical quote about those who live to eat versus those who eat to live. I guess I'm confused on that because someone like RFK, what is his religion? Is he Protestant? RFK Jr. religion? Is he Protestant? Oh, is he Catholic? So I kind of thought that one of the things about being a Christian or a Catholic was that you believe that we are all God's children and we all have inherent value because we have been, the breath of life, the breath of spirit has been, put into us by God, right? So like, I guess I don't really get what you're trying to say. Maybe. is what's happening. As I've aged and learned more about the quote spectrum, I am relatively sure that autistic people and ADHD people have existed the whole time, just only have been seen more recently. Society was so rigid, it forced masking on everyone until it finally opened up a little and let people be themselves. Overall, the number of quote non-functional people in society have only gone up because the physical number of people on the planet has increased. Yeah. It's not like we're proportionally more people with high level of needs. I think we've been trained to perceive our value purely from a capitalist system, so our value is purely on what other people can milk us for. But do you have a skill someone can use for their enrichment? Then you have value to capitalism. Yeah. Yeah, totally. Well, but even then, like, artists generate a large amount of value to capitalism, in the sense that a lot of the TV shows that we watch, or artistic architecture in our communities that creates more tourism or what have you. It's interesting that like art clearly generates a shit ton of value, and yet the system of capital treats them financially and socially like undesirables. Like, think of the public reaction to the Writers Guild strikes and the actors strikes, that they seem to, like, there's this common thing socially, and I say common, I don't mean like frequent, I just mean like of the common people, where common people might be like, oh, well, those fucking lazy, prissy fucking how often do I drop slurs on stream is a question that I ask myself on a regular basis. Those to borrow from the UK, those fucking puffs out in Hollywood, they think they need to strike for more money, blah, blah, blah. Like, there is a concept in the American psyche that art is bullshit and pointless, and that artists don't have value. But yet the capitalist system benefits immensely from artistic contributions. Don't try to make sense of conservative Christians. Fair enough, John, you're right. Tink says, I can't, quote, do anything that is considered valuable because of my very severe ME, and still feel as though my life has value, but wouldn't be able to justify this in rational terms. Yeah. And I do think that that is an area where there's a lot of anxiety internally. Like, so as a disabled person, I see people like Diana of, she's Physics Girl. That's her channel. She has severe MECFS, or at least that's how it's being treated. What she has is severe long COVID that has been diagnosed as MECFS, and that is what she's struggling with. She can't get out of bed, or actually, she's just started improving recently, where she can play video games and she can walk herself to the bathroom. Like, she wasn't able to walk herself to the bathroom before her husband had to walk her to the bathroom after she got COVID, like right after she got married. So, like, yeah, does she no longer have value? Like, if she requires care full time, like, that's what scares me as a disabled person. This is part of why I have such stringent COVID caution still. Like, I know that people are mostly moved on from it. Maybe even most of you in my audience don't take COVID precautions anymore. And that sucks, because you're just one COVID infection away from not being able to go to the bathroom independently anymore. And that's scary. I don't like, and you get this like thing, whether it's accurate or not. Like, I'm married to a cis man. Cis men are like, what is it? Like 80% of husbands of sick wives leave them, And so I'm like, I don't know if I would have anybody who could care for me full time. Like, it's terrifying to me that I would be physically unable to do more than I'm already physically unable to do. Yeah, so it's just kind of it's tricky. I value needs over contributions personally, but I'm just an anarchist communist, so what do I know? Yeah, I guess like I would say like if I was in charge of the commune, and by in charge I mean like if there was a council that I was a part of, I would say let's try to find everyone a role in the community where they can contribute. Whether that's you operate the projector on movie night, or if you speak at like the weekly meeting, you give like an inspirational speech, or if you want to help create the schedule for who does what tasks when, like that administrative work, I would probably be like, we can find something that you can do. We can find something where you can contribute, right? And also, if there are people with severe MECFS, we're going to care for them anyway, even if they can't do anything. So, but I understand why the value mindset is scary to people in a eugenics kind of sense, because, yeah, like it's terrifying to think that, like, well, what happens if I don't have value? Am I just going to die? Like, no, that's why we have social support. That's why we are a social species. We have only survived by being cooperative. In a box, thank you. That's very sweet. Says, I like contributing to creators too. Thank you. Yeah, I have a really easy job that pays well. I feel bad that it's so cushy, especially compared to more manual jobs, which are actually important to society to function, but it means I get to contribute to charities that do work that I like, and also contributing to creators. Yes, thank you. I do appreciate it. And I don't... I struggle with like being honest about my feelings, but not wanting people to like feel bad about it. I don't like this job. I mean, it's fine. I like it fine. But it is also true. And I fucking cried this week telling my husband this. Let's see if I can tell you on stream without crying. I only started doing this job because it felt like I had no other options. So I was like, okay, I'm already looking at all this fucked up news all the time. I might as well make money doing it. But now I live somewhere where there's a higher minimum wage, and it's like, shit, if I got literally any full-time job at $15 an hour, I would be making like $12,000 more per year, and I would not owe $3,000 in taxes. So, like, it starts to feel shitty when you're like, I'm just giving myself psychic damage. It's not just psychic damage. You can get stuck in that negativity. I also have a lovely community of people who care and want to hang out with me, who find my presence companionable, and like there's value in that. And yeah, you don't know how much your life's influence has on other people, the 6 degrees of separation thing. Totally. I've helped so many people come out as trans. I've helped like people that I don't even know about it. For every one person who tells me I came out because of you, there's probably 5 other people who didn't tell me but still came out partially because of my influence. So like, you know, but is this what I'm passionate about? Am I going to be able to make an amount of money? Like, you guys have been hearing me talk about this for like 3 years. I would love to buy land and produce at least some of my own food. How am I going to do that? My husband makes $20 an hour. I make about $18,000 a year, which is functionally equivalent to working like 25 hours a week at any regular job, except that I fucking owed $3,000 in taxes. So functionally, I made $15,000 last year, which is like less than minimum wage. So, like, the math just doesn't math. And it doesn't seem like it's growing. Like the channel is not growing in the way that it would need to be for it to be sustainable in a longer term situation. So yeah, I am finding myself thinking about what is another way I can spend my time. But even if I do pursue something else, I probably am still going to do this for fun. Do another GoFundMe. I just did a GoFundMe, and I got $10,000. Like, I can't run GoFundMe's every year. I don't think that's sustainable or reasonable. Although you're right that GoFundMe is non-taxable income. It's counted as a gift in a way that donations to streamers are like not really technically gifts. Oh, that's a good point, Drea. People have value because of their unique perspectives. That's fair enough. Turn the channel into an extended friends hangout. I mean, that's kind of what I imagine is going to happen. Let me kind of give you an idea of what's been going on with me. I went to an event where we walked through a park and some experts pointed out a bunch of different plants, and they were saying, this one's native, this is a good one, you can put it in these areas in your yard, this one's invasive, here's how you can kill that one. This one's toxic, don't eat that one, this one's edible, blah, blah, blah. Just and like a little bit of like, oh, that's that bird. Let me tell you what that bird is. And that gave me an opportunity to speak to a couple people who are professionals in the field of environmental science. And that is where my interest is right now. That's where my passion is right now. Oh my God, excuse me. I did not mean to become burpy. I have always been very passionate about nature. I've always been passionate about climate. I'm very emotionally affected by, like, dude, the coral reefs. I'm gonna cry just talking about it. Hank Green, they just partnered with a company that creates soap, but it's like you get a tablet of soap that you put in water instead of buying a thing at the store that's like 90% water and a little bit of soap. And like 100% of the profits for this are going to be going to fixing the coral reefs and like supporting life in the coral reefs. I cry every time I think about it, and I want to buy that soap because I care a lot. Like, I'm intensely passionate about it, and I love being outside. I really want to exercise more. Like, it just seems like those are a lot of things that would fit well with environmental science. Like, I'm passionate. I am willing to dedicate myself to it. Obviously, I'm like worried about working full time because right now I have a lot of flexibility and I can kind of do whatever I want. And I can take extra time to care for my body and everything. Like, so whatever. But that's kind of the direction that I'm trending. So in 2 weeks, I actually have a meeting with those professionals that I met at the plant event. And I'm going to ask them questions about what I should do to proceed. There is a big possibility that I will try to become a full-time student later this year. There is a chance that that's going to happen because there are tax benefits to being a full-time student that might help me. And full-time, just for your reference, if you've never been to college, full-time student does not mean the same as being a full-time employee. They are very different things. And so like when I was technically a full-time student when I did my technical degree. And that was like, I had classes from like 8:30 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon, Monday through Thursday. That was a specific program that was specifically made so that it could be in chunks like that. I know that if you're really in college and you're taking different classes, sometimes they're at weird times of the day or sometimes they're on Saturday or whatever. But that's what full-time is for a student. 8 o'clock to 2 o'clock, 4 days a week. So for me, being a full-time student probably would still have time to stream. And I do not want to not have a job while I'm in school. So whether that's I decide to get a seasonal job, like I might become one of those crazy people who like still streams, makes money that way, has a part-time job, and is a full-time student. That is entirely possible that I'm about to become that person because I need to make more money. I have goals that require me to make more money. The environmental science degree is a means of making more money, and it's a means of applying myself in a way that I actually care about what I'm doing, right? So if you can imagine, let's fast forward to October, and let's just assume I've decided to become a full-time student in environmental science. And maybe I do or do not have a part-time job, but probably what's going to happen is I'll stream Sunday, maybe just a long stream where I do a politics segment, and then I try to edit that all and upload that once a week. Stream at your job. It's fucking true, June. um, yeah. Anyway, so that's kind of how I'm envisioning the future is gonna go. I don't really know yet. I need to speak to these people who I'm starting to try to network. I'm trying to connect with people, and I'm very grateful that I asked like the two facilitators. I asked one of them like, what would you recommend? And then I spoke to the other one, and she was like, so yeah, you could go ahead and send me an email or give me a call this week and we can schedule an interview. And I did not expect to get that level of response. I just kind of thought, oh, I'll ask a couple questions and then whatever, I'll continue on my way. But like, I have an interview set up to speak to people in this field who can tell me what direction I need to go and can kind of help figure out like what exactly it is that I want to do. Because being completely honest, environmental science is like a large field. You can do different stuff. Like here in the Pacific Northwest, like salmon populations. It's something that Kitty brings up regularly. That Kitty is like, they got rid of this dam and we're seeing the salmon return to the streams. Okay, if we even just look at that one issue, okay, there's a whole bunch of different jobs. You could be the person who keeps track of this one fish that we tagged. Like, okay, that one we tagged it when it left the river and now it's been out in the ocean and now it's back in the river, right? Keeping track of populations. But also, I don't know how to pronounce this word correctly. I've only read it, but like, or maybe she did say it. The riparian restoration, like stream beds. Because like, okay, this is something that I learned. There is a new, no, this is not new. The emerald ash borer is a beetle or a bug that eats ash trees. That was, I was very careful to speak correctly there because eat ash trees is very vulnerable to sexualization. Anyway, so these ash trees commonly grow on river stream sides, like the sides of the river. And if you know in the future that those trees might die because of a blight, then we need to now start planting trees, because not having trees on the sides of streams and creeks and rivers means the water gets warmer, which means that fish die. And it doesn't even have to be a stream that fish usually go to. If it feeds into another stream or river that fish do go to, it will raise the temperature of that river. So just looking at salmon populations, that's like several different jobs, right? Studying like keeping track of the encroachment of emerald ash borers, planting trees along riversides, keeping track of the salmon population itself. That is all just one part of environmental science. And then you have people whose job it is to like maintain park trails, which isn't directly related to environmental science necessarily, except that some of those jobs also include taking note of invasive plants. I saw a post on Facebook a couple of years ago that was like, those people will buy those packets of wildflower seeds and they'll just like chuck them places. It's supposed to be a nice little, cute little thing you can do for the environment. But you have to make sure that the seeds are native, right? So I was looking at this thing from Parks Ranger. I cannot remember which national park it was, but they were like, dude, look at this trail. Someone threw a bunch of wildflower seeds, but a lot of these things are invasives. They're harmful, and we need to remove them. And you need to be more conscientious of those things as someone who's like, you're trying to do something nice, but you've actually just really negatively impacted an ecosystem. And if it weren't for the fact that there are people whose job it is to keep track, like, you would have to, that's somebody's job. To be clear, yeah, if streaming distracts me from my education, it will certainly be less of a component, but it might be that it turns into like hangout streams every couple weeks, to be clear. But yeah, go to bed. But at least for the rest of the summer, you guys, I'm not planning on changing anything on here. And there's so many logistical things that would have to go in to, like, okay, do I have financial aid? Do I can I afford to take these classes? Like, how much of this money is going to have to go? Sophie. Yeah, like, do I have enough money to do that? Is my partner going to be cool with potentially paying for my classes? Like, I don't know. That's a conversation that we have to have that I'm probably not going to be able to get in further depth in until I have this meeting in 2 weeks. So, yeah. Katie says, this past winter we lost 2 large herds of pronghorn due to the snow being too tall and them not being able to crawl under the fences. I grew up watching the pronghorn in northern Arizona slowly being displaced and erased by humans just settling all over their patches of land. They are unable to be relocated and will travel hundreds of miles back to their home range. This plus watching the Lake Mead bathtub ring grow are why I became passionate about the environment. Hell yes. Thank you, in a box, for your $10 bookmark. Enjoy. Enjoy your bedtime. Your bedtime. 3 o'clock for me is like, it's like 7 or 8 hours ahead. Yeah, it's nighttime in the UK. Nighttime in Britain. Yes, that was springtime for Hitler. But thank you. I appreciate your donation, and I hope you have a good night's rest. That brings us up to $63.18. Dude, I will say, like, with working out this week, I've done so many shoulder things. I know that the biceps are the thing that everybody likes to look at. But I really want to round out my shoulders and, like, I want to look like everybody wanted Abby to look like in The Last of Us. Yeah, different classes will have different workloads. Totally. What is it? An environmental science degree is like 124 credit hours. Something like that. Grad school here sets 9 credit hours as full-time, which translates to more like 7.5 hours of class per week, but also felt fair. I mean, you're in grad school. Like, each thing that you're doing is so much more intensive. John says there are a lot of political streamers, but not enough of them talk about the environment. That could be a good niche for you. I'm open to it. If it becomes beneficial, like, maybe I will become a little, like, I'll post TikToks or shorts of the conservation work that I'm doing, whatever that is. I'm open to that. I just am very tired of talking about trans stuff all the time. And it's happening whether I talk about it or not. But at the same time, like, I am not helping anything, I don't think, by talking about it. So, I don't know. Oh, your mom got an environmental science degree? She's just now getting into her field technically. She'll become a volunteer campground host. If I had a degree, I'm not fucking volunteering anymore. But that is a great way to meet people, is to volunteer. It's one of the things that I recommend when y'all are asking me how do I make friends? Go volunteer, go do things in places with people, and wear a mask. Easy peasy. Have you ever done a react to That Vegan Teacher? No. I don't know who that is. I don't think I've seen them. Oh, God, I just remembered something, you guys. I do want to talk about something specific and funny today. I don't know what happened just there. We dropped down to 27 viewers. That's crazy. There's a Reddit post going around that could be funny to talk about. My lip is fucked up. I don't really know if it's showing up on stream very well, but like I've been biting my lip, and I've like bitten it so much that it was like very actively scabbing and bleeding and shit. So that's kind of how I'm feeling right now. My cat is screaming in the other room. You can never hear him on stream when he's screaming in the other room, which I guess is a good thing. But I might have to just go check on him really quick and see what the fuck is his problem. But then I want to talk about, you may have seen this going around. It's a Reddit Am I the A-hole post, and it's Am I the A-hole for training a guy, quote, like a dog. This is from a female, a 23-year-old female who's dating a guy, and she's using conditioning for him. So I just thought that it was funny, and I want to talk about it, but I am going to make sure that he's not trapped in the closet or something for some fucking reason. I'll be right back. Nope, that was just fun for him. He just thought that screaming was a fun thing to do. Oh no, you're good, Mosh. Sometimes stuff gets caught and I don't even have the opportunity to say it's fine for that to be on the stream. So no worries for your censorship. That's okay. That vegan teacher apparently has been accused of being a PDF file for using gross sexual imagery to talk about veganism. She's done lots of other controversial things like weaponize people's trauma. So what? Vegans are... So I don't want to, say vegans in general. People who make a public whatever out of being vegans, like, those people tend to have other things going on as far as I can tell. Oh, thank you, Drea, for a 651. Oh gosh, wait, no. I think that you've just made it worse. Did you just make it worse? Now I need a calculator. Because we're at... What is it? $63.18 plus $6.51. Because that just made it... Oh, you made it $69.69. I see. I see what you've done. Good job. $69.69. 69. 69. Any Ninja Sex Party fans in the house? Thank you. That was nice. Screaming into the void for fun sounds quite in vogue. Yeah, he's a goober. Normally in the morning, I'm like, it makes sense for you to scream in the morning. Like, my husband has left. My sibling is locked in their room working on school stuff. I have not gotten out of bed yet. And he's like, ow, ow. He's one of those. He croaks. He's like, ow. He's got vocal fry. Everybody's pissed off at that vegan teacher because she's making a total mockery of veganism, and Lord knows y'all don't need any more of that going around. I'm not a vegan. I am expecting that I will have to have conversations about this before too long because Josie, my co-host on the line, is a vegan, and it comes up sometimes. So I don't agree that we should not eat meat. I don't know. I agree with them about some things, just not like the fundamental premise. Okay, Kitty's got paragraphs. She says, I'm not going to lie, I will be bringing in some seriously invasive bamboo species that will benefit the community 100 years from now, LOL. something we have to understand as an animal is we are a means of seed dispersal that the earth did create. I love owls. The barred owl is and has been encroaching on the spotted owl's range and slowly eroding the species. Probably in another 30 years, the spotted owl will be gone. The thing is, the barred owl probably would have moved into this range over time anyways. It has and will affect the food web in the region, but I don't know if the plans to try and kill enough barred owls to take the pressure off the spotted owls is reasonable. Anywho, we are seed dispersers, and we just have to be a bit more conscious and recognize when we are making a change that will affect things long term. Well, okay, yeah, like we are a keystone species. Like that is what human beings are. In the way that otters, or no, shit, not otters, sorry, beavers, beavers like build dams, and that changes the ecosystem. It creates wetlands where there might not be wetlands. It's undoubtedly, like, so many other species are reliant on the beavers to do what beavers do. And it's kind of a similar thing with humans. Like, that we create an ecosystem by what we do. But similarly, we can destroy ecosystems by what we do. And it's just about, yeah, like, can we make responsible choices? Is conservation in and of itself a good idea? You know, like, should we be spending as much money as we're spending on trying to keep pandas going? Like, well, you could argue, like, yeah, it depends on what utility that species has. Because I think part of the problem with pandas, too, is that they just don't seem to have much of an impact on their ecosystem. They are herbivores, so it's not like we're preserving a predator, because if you remove the predators, then the prey animals grow out of proportion, and then that impacts the vegetation and blah, 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 blah. Spiraling effects down the line is the point. But if we have, I mean, part of it too is that it can be hard to predict what's the effect down the line. Like, sometimes it's easy. If the emerald ash borer continues to spread, then ash trees will die, since ashes grow on the edges of streams, and that means the streams are going to get warmer, and that's bad for the fish. Cool. Boom. Very clear line between one thing and the next thing. But we don't always know. I mean, like, shit, even in trying to solve that problem, okay, we introduce a different kind of tree, but, like, what if that tree brings a fungus that's not normally in the forest, or something? Like, if that species of tree that we decide to plant isn't the right kind. Drea says vegans can sometimes be an odd bunch from a vegetarian. It's like they're just really intense, which is fine. Like, I get it. If you're really, really passionate about something, I understand. You feel very strongly about it. That's kind of what being passionate means. Means that you feel very strongly about it. And so I respect the fact that vegans feel very strongly about animal welfare. I just disagree about the correct way to approach that problem. The direwolf situation? I mean, the direwolf situation is basically just they did some CRISPR editing to existing dogs, or like gray wolves or something, It's not like they're reviving a species. We don't know if these animals are do we know yet if these animals are going to be sexually are they going to be fecund? Do we know that? We are having a large-scale cedar die-off from a fungus plus the drought conditions. The fungus was brought by a tree that slowly moved its way up the west coast. Cedar helps protect the other trees around it by repelling many bug species. Without them, the beetle populations can rapidly get out of control. Right. Yeah, there's just so many things, which is why, yeah, there's so many different types of jobs, because there are so many different ways that we need to keep track of changes that are happening. Just keeping track of changes is a huge part of environmental work. Is there an invasive species here now that didn't used to be? How many fish are there? How many wolves are there? These things matter. Humans like to keep their environment static, but the world is not a static place. Everything is always changing. Our inability to change with it has probably been one of the biggest issues of humanity. I can agree that, yeah, I mean, I was kind of like leading into it earlier that is preventing the loss of a species really, does it make sense? You know, we just, if it's going to have like ripple effects, then I can understand wanting animals to have a longer period of time to adjust to changes in the ecosystem. Because the rapidity of change is part of what causes big die offs. And extinction events are normal, but I also understand the human desire to like give things more of a chance. And that maybe is our role as a keystone species, is that we are able to slow things down so that things can evolve rather than having massive die-offs. But what is actually happening is that human beings are dramatically accelerating and potentially even starting an extinction event. So, like, Jesus. So Moshe says that these, quote, dire wolves have been genetically engineered to fill an ecosystem niche, which is one of the ways we could utilize to mitigate ecosystem impact. Or, yeah, like one of the things we could do it. Yeah. So there's arguments for leaning into that rather than spending resources trying to save species that are facing extinction due to habitat loss. I mean, I do think that we should be concerned with habitat loss. But, like, can we do a little bit of both? Sure. I'm not going to say, like, reintroducing species is a bad call per se, especially if it's filling a niche. But I don't think it's reasonable to do that instead of trying to, you know, rein in human behavior a little bit. Because, like, that's one of the problems with humans is that we do not know when to rein in that behavior as a large group. We keep building more houses. Okay, well, that's displacing more animals. We siphon water from here and bring it over there because people want to live in a fucking desert for some reason. And that harms the ecosystem over here. Like, that's not reasonable, I don't think. The mosquito dilemma. If we kill off all mosquitoes, then we're killing a lot of food for a lot of species. Yeah, exactly. Dragonflies. Do you like dragonflies? Well, then you need fucking mosquitoes. It's really irritating. Oh, yeah. And, like, not even to mention, we are building the wrong type of housing because people, and I'm guilty of it too, I want a house with land, but you can't give a house with land to every person. There's going to be some people who have to live in apartment buildings. Big ones. Excuse me. Tried to get some air with that one. I can't even tell you what trying to cough is like right now. My abs hurt so bad. And, like, my back hurts. Like, I did pull-ups and my back hurts in a, like, if I breathe too deep kind of way. It moves my back muscles out of place in a way that is, like, painful. So I'm, like, doing deeper breaths down through my belly. And then, like, I just coughed and I'm so sore. I went way too hard on the exercising this week, but honestly, I think that the exercising would have been easier, but I'm the heaviest I've ever been. So body weight exercises are, like, heavier than I've ever done before, which is fun. Excuse me. That was the liquid that that was the air that I just swallowed while I was trying to drink my water and choke myself out. Excuse me. Okay. What's up, Gayfesh? Howdy. The Earth has survived 90+% of species die-offs in the past. We are just pretending to be a volcano that is constantly erupting for 120 years now and getting bigger. Oh my god, I'm in so much pain. Eventually, the gas buildup creates an unlivable summer. I don't know what the last word is, but I completely understand. It's one of the things that I'm worried about as if I'm thinking about doing field work in environmental science. um, being outside in the summer is the thing that I'm like most scared of, and that's when like a lot of the entry level jobs, like seasonal jobs, are in the summer. Oh my god, I'm dying. Just finished the new Andor eps. Nice. Yeah. Are those like brand new? The 3 or whatever the brand new ones? Is it the first 3? Yeah. Or did it start a couple weeks ago? No. Yeah, it was yesterday. Yeah, because it was April 22nd. Excuse me. Brand new. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't even have it in my schedule to watch those right now. It's not on my schedule at the moment. I have to watch Star Trek The Wrath of Khan is the one. I have to watch that before Monday. So I only have a few days to do that. I just watched the 2 new episodes of The Last of Us, and apparently I have a new thing I'm doing every Sunday evening now because I'm going to watch the episodes as they come out from now on. Yes, Andor just came out last week. Or yesterday. Sorry, not last week. Fucking, what is wrong with me? But they're coming out in arcs. I don't really know how they did it last season, but this time it's like they just put out 3 episodes, and then they're going to do 3 episodes again. That kind of thing going on as like each self-contained storyline. Not self-contained, but you know what I mean. Each discrete beginning and ending storyline within the broader season. Con! True! Yeah. It's actually like a lot shorter. It's one of those pop culture moments that has kind of gotten changed, like the whole Luke, I am your father thing. He doesn't actually say that. Like everybody goes like Khan, and they go really long, but actually it's pretty short in the movie. Last season they released the first 3 at premiere and then went weekly episodes after that. Okay, but this time they're not doing weekly episodes. They're doing chunks. So it's only going to take like 1 month for it all to get uploaded. Trust me, I have made this complaint. I'm not complaining. I just think it's funny. John says the watch list contains Andor, The Last of Us, Wheel of Time, just finished Black Mirror. Nice. I have no interest in Black Mirror or The Wheel of Time. But The Last of Us is my favorite show. I sat down to watch it and I was like, this is my favorite show. Actually, earnestly, there's nothing else that I'm like, I love this so fucking much. I'm going to be excited when another season of House of the Dragon comes out. But I don't think I'm going to feel the same way about it that I do about The Last of Us. I'm going to have to rewatch The Last of Us over and over and over again until I understand why it's my favorite. Khan, often emulated, never achieved. True. Obama! True. Yeah. I keep thinking... So if you guys don't know what the fuck we're talking about, on Gayfesh's channel, we're doing a podcast. It's me and Gayfesh and Demon Mama, and we're talking about movies and shit. And right now, what we're doing is watching all of the original series Star Trek movies, starting with Star Trek The Motion Picture 1979 Director's Cut Remaster 2001. So we just recorded that episode, and we're going to keep going through those. Yeah, Spock definitely did the too long con in the movie Into Darkness, and I was like, yeah, totally. But I keep thinking about the whale. You brought up the whale, Kitty Tick. I can't stop thinking about the whale. I had forgotten about the whale. But now, like, now that I'm thinking about the Star Trek movies, that's all I remember about them, really, is the whale. Scotty picks up a mouse, a computer mouse, and is trying to talk to the computer like, computer, hello, computer. Yeah, not voice activated. Last of Us is really good. Actually made me want to play the game. I don't want to play a horror game. Although knowing that it's a game that was released in 2013, kind of like, I'm like, wow, it's interesting that it feels like it's really progressive for its time, but actually we were in a very progressive swing in 2013 when the game came out. But like having lesbians in the show now, and having like people who trade cannabis for shit, like, it's kind of interesting. Did you know Patrick Stewart never actually stares right into the camera and says, "We really are the Star Trek Next Generation"? Gayfesh comes in and says, he does in season 3, actually. Oh, did I ever tag Discord? I started the stream and I don't... Oh, yeah, I did. Okay, cool. I was like, sometimes I forget to do that. Are we going to send out a Discord announcement when you do your movie chat? Wait, what? What movie chat? Did we plan something and I forgot? What are we doing? Should I be tagging in the Discord when we... I was gonna, like, upload... or when the last video finally goes public, I was gonna be like, hey, we just finished discussing Andor Season 1. If you want to go rewatch Andor Season 1 and then watch our podcast because Season 2 is coming out. But I don't usually ping in the Discord when we do new episodes of the podcast. Should I? You guys want that? It just is yet another thing I'm tagging you guys for, so I wasn't doing it as much. Also, I'm forgetful. Probably on the YouTube timeline, too, every once in a while. So I did post a video about The Last of Us earlier today, which we are not watching for the podcast. That is something that I'm just doing for myself, and I decided to talk about it a little bit today. And I guess it might be an interesting conversation to have with you all here in a live sense, because I know that the live stream audience and the video audience is a little bit different. So there's lesbians in The Last of Us, if you didn't know that. And in fact, I think at this time there are 2 lesbians and 1 bisexual woman that we know of. And 2 gay men. So there's gay people in this show. Those are like all of the explicit, we've said these are gay people. Or like through their behavior, we've seen that they are gay. So that's cool. It's pretty fun. And it's about, the world ends in 2003. So like social progress stops in 2003 because that is... Oh, we don't do it live, to be clear. The podcast that I do with Gayfesh is we record it offline and then we publish it later. So it's not a live thing. But there's like multiple episodes out you can watch. We did Marvel movies, we did Star Wars Andor, now we're doing Star Trek. Good stuff. So lesbians and gay people in The Last of Us, but social progress kind of stopped in 2003 because that's when the apocalypse and zombies occurred. Now, fast forward 25 years, and there's a commune. So in this commune, there's an event that happens where it's like a New Year's Day event, and 2 of the women who like women characters have a little smoochy smooch. They have a little kissy kiss, and there's a guy, an old guy in the room who's like, hey, knock it off, you dykes. Like, fully goes there in the show. And there's a kerfuffle and blah, blah, blah. Scene ends. And then later he apologizes. He's like, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have even thought it. I'm sorry. And like the video that I uploaded earlier today is kind of just talking about how I don't know how to live with people who are different from me in that context. Um, and part of the reason why I'm like thinking about this is that someone commented on the video from today saying it's completely unrealistic for people to work together under those circumstances. And then someone else followed up saying, presumably most didn't. They died. I'm like, I don't think that's fucking historically accurate. Like, we formed society with people who believed things that we do not believe. Like, and like, yeah, obviously it hasn't been great in many historical contexts, especially ones where white people are involved, because mostly what happens is the dominant group is homophobes, and then there just are no gay people, or the gay people have to be secretive about what they do, right? But like, people still have found ways to work together despite those differences. I just happen to believe in the opposite, which is that gay people should be allowed to do everything that they want to do within reason, as far as it doesn't hurt anybody. And I want homophobes to shut the fuck up and be ashamed and keep that in private. So, like, I do think that working together in this situation does kind of require one of these groups of people to be oppressed, quote unquote, in the sense that, like, you don't get to be hateful to other people for no fucking reason. But yeah, it's like, how do you work together with people who are just opposed to your existence? So out of pocket to be like, well, clearly they just let the gays be bullied. Yeah, I mean, that is historically what happened in a lot of cases, of course. And like, if we have, I say if, when we have a apocalypse level situation happen, I guess we just have to hope that we end up in a situation where there are enough pro-gay and pro-trans people that if someone calls you a slur, the councilwoman makes him apologize to you, and then he makes you a steak sandwich, you know? I don't know how the fuck we're gonna do this. True, Oxpecker. Homosexuals are gay. True. I think if someone is absolutely against another group's existence, there really isn't a way to work together. Right. But like, I'm not the one who's causing the problem. It's that person. And so what we, I think, need is just like rules about keeping your shitty opinions to yourself. I'm content with peaceful coexistence. I'm perfectly content with having my neighbor be privately homophobic. I don't fucking care, as long as nothing ever comes of it that actually impacts anyone. I guess my point is, like, I'm not the one who's trying to eradicate them. So if there is a person or a group in a community that is trying to actively harm or eradicate others, then you don't get to be in the commune. How about you go fucking figure it out with the clickers out there? Have fun. Like, we're trying to survive. We're trying to make it through the winter here. There are bigger fucking problems. Kitty wants to shout out the Wheel of Time. One of the most satisfying endings around, in my opinion. I won't talk too much more about it now that I have gotten through it again. Or sorry. Yeah. I don't know what the fuck you're saying there. So I feel like if everybody had less opinions about how other people live, that would be the best. Yeah, no, totally. Absolutely. I am less interested in letting phobes exist quietly as long as I live in a democracy. Well, I mean, but there's a question of like, what do we do about that? You know, if we were the dominant socioeconomic group, progressives, pro-gay people, if we are the dominant socioeconomic group, what do we do about homophobes? Like, I'm fine with basically just saying, you have to keep your fucking opinions to yourself. They will quietly vote against other people's well-being, and that is a big no. Yeah. I'm not saying we should let them, like, decide who gets to be themselves at school or something. I firmly am of the opinion that it's like, if you don't like gay people, if you don't want your kids to be taught about this, then you can homeschool them, and that's whatever. but it's like, am I really on the side of like re-education camps or something? Like, and again, I'm also like abstracting this a lot because in my mind, I am in the commune in this conversation. I'm in the apocalypse. We're already there. I'm not thinking so much in terms of like currently what's going on. Because currently, we are in a survival situation. It's just abstracted a lot because there's so many different steps in between. But like most of us can afford fucking at least some amount of groceries, or we know just enough about our local area to hunt rabbits and forage, you know? But if we're in a much more serious, like literally life or death, we either stick together and we figure this out or we will die. Or since you're the problem, we're going to kick you out and you're going to die because you're not going to have the social support. Parents passing on their homophobia and our school system allowing it feels like half the problem. Yeah, I'm definitely not trying to suggest that I have any solutions to the problems that we exist in now, because obviously I would be doing those things if I knew what I was supposed to do, or I would be talking to people who have more power to do those things. What I did was I moved to somewhere that's more progressive, and I am going to try to help as many people as I can move to places that are more progressive, because when shit hits the fan, I want to be around people who are like-minded. So that's my solution to the problem, I guess, is just find more like-minded people to be around and demonstrate, as I have said many, 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 many times, be a member of your community and demonstrate that gay and trans people care about their communities, they invest in their communities, they work hard, they are upstanding citizens. Like, that's the only way to change these fucking people's minds. You have to go out there and be around people who don't like you for bigoted ass reasons and just lead by example. Like, I don't know what else to do. Oh, that's cool, Mosh. Recently learned how to make buckshot from recycled lead and press my own shells. So when the apocalypse comes, I'm too valuable to drive out. Fucking totally. Dude, I hadn't even thought about that. Sorry if you don't go by dude. I wasn't calling you dude. Sorry. Being able to reload your own ammo. The thing is that my gun explicitly says if I use refilled ammo in it, then it will void my warranty. Although I guess it doesn't really matter. It's not like I'm going to try to take the gun back. And Glocks are extremely reliable guns, so I probably won't really need to maintain it. Like, I probably won't need to, like, send it in to get something fixed or whatever. Of course, I'll need to maintain it. But, yeah. But that's a skill, right? Learning how to reload ammo would be very useful in an apocalypse situation. Yeah, of course, the onus, always seems to be falling onto the marginalized. Oh my god. Noah says, in an apocalypse situation, I hope to be that one person who gets everyone killed. Well, it would be very easy to be that person. So you've picked the easiest job for yourself. John says, one of my favorite things to do is go to a bar with a friend and talk politics openly and loudly enough that anyone who wants to listen can. I mean, whoa, shit, I just broke my pen. Isn't that, like, literally how the Enlightenment happened? You know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that one of the whole fucking things was that, like, there were the salons in, like, France where it was, like, a pub and people would, like, drink coffee and beer and talk about politics, and that's literally why the fucking Enlightenment happened. So yeah, I think that's a really, really good call, historically speaking. Good examples. Good feet to follow in the footsteps of. Oh, I don't need this anymore. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, Mosh, this is a great point. The strength of those small communities is that it's impossible to deny the humanity of the person you're talking to. It's harder to dehumanize a queer person into a groomer when you see them every day, or at breakfast, or you have to work with them chopping wood. Yeah, that's a good point. And as well, like in the zombie situation, how much more clear could it be that you share humanity with people who are different from you when there are literally inhuman monsters occupying the dead bodies of human beings at your doorstep, ready to kill you? You know, like the situation also, yeah, like dramatically changes the perspective. So, like, this is a conversation that almost doesn't even apply in the real world because there is such a clear other to rally against or to compare yourself to contrast yourself against, really. Also thinking of the Greek and Roman centers for just sitting around and having philosophical debates. True. Yeah, totally. Watson and Crick came up with DNA over a beer. I love science so much. I strangely feel more comfortable around conservative-minded people that make their judgments somewhat known than I am around covertly right-wing people who sexualize twinks and trans femmes and passive-aggressively resent cisgender women while keeping those beliefs on the down low for social convenience. Those guys are a little more likely to fly the fuck off the handle. Fair. Yeah. And of course, like, the TV show takes a super optimistic view, and I'm sure this is based pretty much entirely on what happened in the game. That, you know, the guy was drunk, he said something, the council speaks to him, he seems to be genuinely remorseful, and genuinely like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have even thought that. Like, did his heart change in one conversation? Or, like, is he gonna go on to be hateful later? Don't fucking spoil anything for me if you've played the games. I don't want to know. I'm just asking questions. I'll find out when I watch the TV show. But yeah, like, does this hypothetical person get less homophobic? Or do they just shut the fuck up about it? I didn't mind when people mostly just shut the fuck up about it. But I guess, like, there is something to be said about, like, is that a problem that's just going to continue to fester? I don't think that society is actually proportionally more hateful. I just think that that hateful minority has managed to get into power by cheating and stealing. Oh my god, my lips are so fucked up, and, like, talking a bunch is not making it any better. In the context of people getting eaten alive, however, I don't know how my mind would adapt to getting fucked over by some piece of shit in that world state. Yeah. And it's like, you have agreed to live in the commune together. That, to me, is the fundamental thing. Is like, that's the most convincing thing, is to be like, dude, I don't care that you didn't like seeing two gay people kiss. Maybe I would even start the conversation like, yeah, these teenagers, you know, making out in front of people, like, I get it. It wouldn't matter if it was a man and a woman. I would still be like, hey, kids, get a fucking room. But you saying something hateful about them being gay is unacceptable in this situation. I hope you wouldn't think that way about people. Like, really, what is different about these two young people versus this other couple? Like, what is the, you know, I don't really understand why you're making this judgment. There's literal fucking zombies outside. So, like, you know, I would hope that in that situation you could earnestly get over yourself. But I don't know. The hateful people took over our education system. Yeah, that's true. John says, true fact, the son of a KKK Grand Wizard's car broke down and a Muslim picked him up. Long story short, they became fast friends, and the son turned away from racism. Exposure therapy works. Yeah, they they bonded over how much they love subjugating women. Sorry, that was a joke. It was an edgy joke. I'm sorry. I think Trump has made us more divided for a decade. We talk about how lockdown messed with our minds for a year, but we don't talk about the toll that a decade of Trump has done to our mental health. Fucking true. That's so true. You know, everybody, whether you're part of the affected group or not, like this has got to be a whole psychological phenomenon where we're all like dumber and more stressed out and have more inflammation in our bodies and are going to die younger. And that's without even factoring in COVID. Dessert Essence Tea Tree Oil Lip Balm. Turns out if I could fucking type, it would be a little bit easier. Is it dessert or is it desert? Desert Essence? Okay, I see what it is. Okay, I'll keep that tab open and I'll look at it later. The problem is that I bite my lip a lot. But if something was nice on there, it probably would be easier not to. I don't know. I'm anxious. Ah! Okay. Byron says the education system is too beholden to the combo of avoiding politics, then letting random shit become political and thus to be avoided, and concentrating power in the hands of administrators. Yeah. Public education has been on a downswing for a long time. Frankly, I think that like the shittiness of education can probably be tracked directly onto a graph of like poor outcomes. I'm creating a graph with my hands. The graph here, I'll make the graph for you. Outcomes getting worse, I bet, is correlated with number of school shootings going up. Like they pass like ships in the night. Oh, that's an interesting hypothetical situation. So Drea is speculating that part of the hate around this is that some guys mentally picture themselves hooking up with others around them. And of course, the guy, girl relationships poke at that. Like the whole thing with talking about women's ability to have babies, they're really thinking subconsciously having babies with them, falling into that whole your body, my choice mindset. Maybe. That's really interesting speculation. I mean, I guess that might be part of it. I will donate $10 if you don't like this lip balm. Okay, cool. Good to know. Oh dear. Noah ordered a 16-ounce margarita and they gave them a pitcher with dinner. Oh, a whole pitcher of margarita. Delicious. I know that it would be better if I didn't, but I do want to drink tonight. If my partner brings home whiskey, I'm going to drink some. Oh, yeah. What happened to my Aquaphor? Because I had Aquaphor and I was using it on my lips. It has a specific kind of acid in it. I cannot remember what it is, but it was really helpful to my lips. During my stream break here in about 15 minutes, I'll run and see if I can find my Aquaphor. And I'll use some, because I'm sure that would help. Okay, so let's talk about this Reddit post. So, am I the a-hole for training a guy like a dog? I, 23 female, have recently started seeing this guy, 26 male. He's super pretty, but he's kind of emotionally unavailable, and he's alluded to having had an unstable/unhealthy childhood. For context, I also work with socializing abused and neglected dogs at a local shelter, and I think how much time I spend with the dogs is impacting the way I interact with people. When we were on a date, I started subconsciously making mental notes about my boyfriend, like notes that I would make about a dog. For example, I noticed when we went out to dinner, he ate really quickly and was very anti sharing, the i.e., that is resource guarding. But when I offered to pay and suggested dessert, it seemed to make him really happy and a little calmer, food motivated. He's really particular about his car, territorial slash crate aggression. He likes when I pick where we go and what we do, eager to please, etc. So I've started using the tactics I'd use on a dog with similar problems. Recently, one of my friends, 22 female, pointed out that it's weird that I keep peanut M&Ms on me with the specific purpose of offering the guy one when I see him, and offering them again whenever I can tell he feels vulnerable. She said that I'm being an asshole because he's a person, not a dog, so I shouldn't be, quote, training him like one. I don't think that's fair. I'm not trying to control him or anything. I just want him to feel comfortable with me the same way I need the animals I'm helping to be comfortable with me. Humans and animals aren't that different after all. We all just want to feel safe and cared for. The guy hasn't noticed yet as far as I can tell. The problem is my, quote, technique is yielding really positive results. Am I the a-hole? Should I stop? Chat. What do we think about this? I think it's fine. I think it's fine. I think maybe you should tell him that you're doing that. Like, if you were to just say, like, okay, I know some tricks to make you feel more comfortable around me. Or, like, should you just do it? I mean, okay. Do you actually need to tell him, though? Because I learned a bunch of interpersonal skills through my DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy. And, like, you do, like, the pattern of asking for things includes a little push and pull. Like, the script, basically, the pattern of steps that you're supposed to follow to help someone agree with you is like, you describe what the issue is, then you express how you feel, then you actually, like, ask for the thing, and then you create some kind of reward at the end. So if you're like, I've noticed that you've been late to work a couple times, and I get worried and nervous when you don't come home at the same time that I'm expecting you. So I would like you to text me if you are stuck in traffic, and I will feel a lot better, and then I will know when to have dinner ready or something. There is, like, a pattern that you follow. Do I need to tell someone that I'm using evidence-based psychological tricks to get them to agree with me? Or is that just, like, how people should interact, and it's not my fault if you don't know? I don't know. It seems, she says it's helping. Like, she's like, okay, he's resource guarding and food motivated. He's territorial. He's eager to please. How can I help him fix these problems? I don't think tricking people into being better is bad necessarily. I don't know that it needs to be consensual. I'm not sure. This is hilarious, yeah. Yeah, humans are animals. Turns out we share the same psychology. I guess it could be seen as manipulative, but, like, in some level, so is any intentional action. True. Okay, this is a thing that I had to get into my brain when I was in therapy. Manipulation is value neutral. Every single interaction. A baby who is crying is manipulating its parents into feeding it or changing its nappy. Like, manipulation is a part of every single interaction we have. When you're, like, nice to your boss, even though you're fucking really mad at them, that's manipulation because you want to keep your job and not piss off your boss, you know? Yeah, is it really tricking? Like, it's just rewarding someone. And we do reward people You know, and we talk about rewarding people. You know, people are like, you know, I broke up with my partner because I found out they were cheating on me and they said that they would stop and we would try to make it work, but I'm not going to reward them cheating on me by staying with them. Or like when your teenager's doing something and that you don't like, and then they have plans that they already got permission for, and you tell them they can't do that. You're like, well, I'm not going to reward you for acting out of line, even though you already had these plans. I'm taking it away from you because otherwise that would be a reward. And instead I want to punish you. We don't usually say the I want to punish you part, but that is kind of the foil to reward, is punishment, just on a psychological level. And like we punish each other all the time too. When we give the silent treatment, that's a punishment. Whether you mean for it to be or not, maybe you just feel really strongly like you do not want to be around that person. You don't even necessarily have to be thinking like, you don't get to have access to me when you're treating me like that. But it is a punishment psychologically for that other person, for you to revoke connection for whatever reason. You might even have justified reasons, and I'm not saying you don't, but it is a punishment. Manipulation being the core of every interaction is why it annoys me when the Christian nationalists accuse liberals of trying to, quote, influence kids. Like, that's the most basic aspect of learning. Fucking true. Yeah, an educational system changes people's viewpoints. What? Learning new things means you might change your mind. I feel like if she did tell him about this training, it might affect the relationship negatively. Maybe. Some people would argue that that means that it's non-consensual. But I also think that people are not very rational about this. Like I accidentally one time was talking to my partner about, like, while we were fighting, I was like, I'm trying to reward this I'm like trying to reward blah blah blah, and he was like, what does that mean? And I was like, just fucking psychologically speaking, reward and punishment. But here's a fun fact, and it kind of like Byron just said it. You can be nice and use as many positive evidence-based approaches as you want. It is still reliant on the other person being receptive to that. Or as my therapist put it, these skills only work on people who are rational. They do not work on people who are irrational. This is reminding me of the altruism versus selfishness argument. I don't think it's actually a dichotomy. I think we are both selfless and selfish every time we do a good act, and that's okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Obviously, I think this is this like a little philosophical or psychological trick that people try to get people on, of like, why do you volunteer? Why do you work for the Peace Corps? Why did you build houses for Habitat for Humanity? Why did you do that? Like, and they're trying to devalue. I'm not saying you're doing this, Moshe. I'm just thinking out loud. People will do that thing of like, well, why did you do that? And sometimes people are like, well, because I care about people, because I feel good about myself when I contribute in that way. And the people will be like, ah, gotcha. You did it because you care, or because you feel better about it. So really you did a selfless thing for selfish reasons, which means that you're still fundamentally selfish. Which I think is kind of stupid. It's like, I think that the ability to care about what's happening to other people, the fact that you feel good about helping people, means that you have appropriately developed the psychological state of empathy, and that you know that suffering feels bad for you. So if you make other people suffer, that is bad for them. And like, you prefer to help people because you know that it's not good to be in that situation. So it's, no matter what, it still fundamentally has some aspect of selflessness in it. Is it a little bit selfish, I guess, to be like, I'm doing this because... So if you were like the Tahani from Good Place, where you're like, I only do charity because I want my parents to like me. I only do charity because I'm competing with my sister. Then yeah, you're doing altruism for completely selfish reasons. You still maybe are having a net positive impact. So I'm not saying there is no such thing as a selfless thing done for selfish reasons, but just that like most people who are doing it because they care and because it makes them feel fulfilled, it's them completing a biological imperative of community care. Oh, true. Viren says, I've seen people respond to kind gestures with fuck you, so a psychological trick isn't even guaranteed to get the desired outcome. Also says, the only falsifiable and tenable definition of altruism that makes sense to me involves no expectation of material gain. It's silly of me to say it's not altruism if you feel good about it. Yeah, totally. I think The Good Place was a good show throughout the whole thing. Shakespeare, welcome. Jumping in late to the stream, no worries. We're hanging out. We're having a good time. We just talk about this. I don't know if you've seen this Reddit post where this girl, she's like, I've been working with dogs and I noticed some things about this boyfriend I recently started dating. Like he's similar to the dogs in that he is resource guarding, food motivated, crate aggressive, and eager to please. So I'm using psychological tricks to make him more comfortable with me by giving him peanut M&Ms. And so we're just kind of talking about psychological conditioning and that kind of shit right now. I'm gonna have to get new water soon. For me, my best activist experience was Food Not Bombs because I got to feed the community and I had a great time. That didn't change the fact that I also fed people. Yeah. I think even if you have completely selfish reasons, that doing something altruistic is still a good thing, still a net positive. I'm not going to sit here and say that all of your good deeds don't count because you did them for shitty reasons. Oh my God. I just have these like super dry chunks on my lip as it's starting to heal. Does not feel great. Who is Wick? I don't know who the fuck that is. Sophie says someone on a Wix stream was asking where the deported women have gone. I don't know who that is. That's insane. Oh, man. I'm going to the beach again soon, which I'm excited for. Probably but before I see you guys again, I think. You can help others and also feel good about doing it. Not sure why it would have to be one or the other. Truly. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't turn doing good for people into another excuse to look for thought crimes. Fucking true. Oh yeah, Shakespeare says a friend and I were just discussing Cookie Monster allyship and how we as activists can utilize allies who want a cookie for helping without them taking over / speaking for us. Totally, yeah. This does have applications in the political situation that we're in because we can be like, yeah. You know, let's give people credit for being good allies. Like, let's give people credit for it because if they're just getting a bunch of negative feedback for being good allies and we go, well, you should have figured this out 7 years ago. I don't know, like, it's just, there's no way that's going to be helpful, I don't think. Because we are stupid fucking meat sacks with very simple punishment reward feedback systems. Kitty says, I was napping the baby, but wanted to chime in. With the girl, I'm going to say she's not the a-hole, partially because the guy knows what she does for a living. It's normal to react to the world based on how you have lived. She is reacting to a situation and trying to, in a very human way, make it more comfortable for her and for him. The way to make this the most good would be to say, I have noticed these behaviors. Would you like to work on them? If they say yes, then they just say, I cannot tell you what I am going to be doing to help because it can affect the outcome. Do you trust me to do this? Yeah, I think if you wanted to have the best of both worlds, that would probably be the way to approach it. Like, hey, but I mean, people will take it as a criticism is part of the problem, especially fucking men. If you're like, hey, I've noticed that you do not like sharing your food. And I've noticed that with the dogs that I work with, and we consider that, behavior that we want to fix. Is that behavior that you would want to fix? Most of the time, they're going to be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I think is how a lot of men would react to that. I'm not saying that's justified. I think that that's just how men are. Sentient meat sacks wrapped around and in rocks? We're wrapped around, we're wrapped around bones full of calcium. That's rocks. What do you mean in rocks? I don't. Oh, like brain inside rock. Got it. I figured it out. We got there. To men, do you want to be fixed? We're snipping them over here. True. We need our imperfect allies. We got to give them the cookies, but do it on our terms. Shakespeare, I would like to get your opinion on something we were talking about earlier. If we have like an apocalypse situation and we're living in a small commune and someone is homophobic, how do we deal with that? Like, let's say that there's a council in charge of the commune and that the council does not think that homophobia is a good thing. What do you do? Lux, if you tell a normal therapist you are a sentient meat sack, they will send you to a psych ward. I don't think so. Maybe you just have really lame therapists. My therapists have all kind of understood that I am very autistic. Ask the question, why do you think you don't like sharing your fries? First of all, this might be a food insecurity behavior. Yeah, well, she did say that he has alluded to having an unstable childhood, so it probably very likely could be food insecurity related. Totally. But yeah, it also might be alpha chud behavior. I favor collectivism in apocalyptic colonies. Totally. So we're talking about a TV show where there's been a zombie apocalypse and it's 25 years later and there's a commune where they keep each other safe and they have literal fortifications and everything, and there's a young gay couple and someone tries to be homophobic and like is mean to them, and the next day the council is like, hey, I think you have something to say to this young person, and the homophobic person says, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said it, I shouldn't have even done it. And I'm like, how do you do that? How do you get a person to be like, either you changed your mind fully, or you at least got a stern talking to of like, shut the fuck up because this is a survival situation and we cannot have you acting like that in here. I would loathe to banish someone to an uncertain fate due to a values-based purpose. Do we banish the homophobe? Damn good question. Right. I think it just has to, in that situation, it's very easy to say like, we are going to die if we don't cooperate with one another. So I don't care if you have private homophobic beliefs, you can't be aggressive toward other people. Like, that aggression is against the social contract we have. So even if you feel that certain type of way, you cannot be aggressive. Yes, I'm talking about The Last of Us. It's my favorite show. I should watch those 2 episodes again tonight. I want to. Is it even on the table? Do you tell him, hey, if you don't shut the fuck up, you're going to have to leave? Like, I guess that's kind of hanging over. If you're like, hey, you need to chill. You know, we have to live together. And we also talked earlier, Shakespeare, about the fact that, like, it's hard to deny the humanity of someone who is living in a commune with you when outside the commune are a bunch of inhuman monsters. Thank you, Viren. Yeah, I am considering maybe just starting to watch movies and talk about movies in an off the cuff way, and not in a let me put this on a video essay channel kind of way. I have a tab open for a movie called A Man Called Otto, which is about, so Tom Hanks plays an old curmudgeonly man whose wife has died and he hates everything, but then a young trans man and his family move into the neighborhood and he becomes like a role model for that young trans man. So I just saw that one show up on my Facebook feed or something. I cannot remember where I saw it. But I was kind of thinking, like, what if I just watch trans movies and talk about trans movies and less about politics? I don't know. I'm just trying to find a way to keep the channel afloat while I think about other stuff. Shakespeare says, I do not think we banish them. In my punk/anarchist days, we would occasionally have to beat up one of our friends for the good of our community. We're going to beat you up. That's hilarious. Haven't seen season 2 yet, but played the game. Wasn't he told off by Joel? Yeah. And then, so I actually do think that that scene played out very much the same in the show. And then there's the apology the next day, and all that pretty much is exactly the same in the show. I haven't played the game. I just watch media review breakdowns that talk about the differences between the game and the show. Yeah, sometimes you just have to lay someone out for not shutting the fuck up. But y'all already knew that that's what my position was, that I think that violence is not necessarily a bad thing in creating social cohesion. But obviously that introduces problems in that, like, normalization of violence may or may not be a good thing. Whatever, I get it. It's not an easy black and white. Everybody should do everything the same in every situation. The greater good. True. Whoop this old man's ass for the greater good. Social concussion. True. I unlocked all the entrances while no one was looking. Shakespeare says, I've been part of a neo-Nazi beatdown. Sometimes you drag someone out of a venue and let them know to never return. The tolerance contract. Yeah, and I did mention that in the video. The paradox of tolerance. You cannot tolerate both women and misogynists in the same space, or you will eventually have a space where there are only misogynists and no women, or very few women who buy into the misogynistic beliefs. You just can't have both groups at the same time. One of them has to, like, the group that is opposed to other people's peaceful existence, I think, should be the ones who are like, shut the fuck up. Have you talked about the autism registry? We touched on it earlier in the stream. Today is not explicitly our politics day, and that is something that I might want to talk more in depth about, like, on an actual, like, let's do a segment kind of deal. But we did talk about it earlier, and HIPAA and all kinds of shit. So definitely roll back to near the beginning if you want to see that conversation. Yes, the Nazi bar. Exactly. You let one guy in because he's polite and well-spoken, and suddenly it's a fucking Nazi bar. You can't have both of those things. Like, non-Nazis and Nazis coexisting in the same space. Like, I mean, you would never have known that the guy was a Nazi except that he was wearing a fucking swastika. So I guess it, for me, comes back to, sure, we can coexist so long as you keep your fucking opinions to yourself. Okay, I'm going to take a little break for my voice and to go to the bathroom real fast. We will listen to music while I'm gone, just a little 5-minute break, and then we'll continue chit-chatting about whatever. Okay, I'm back. Hello. Had to get a little snacky snack. Had to shove a protein bar in my face. Here's an interesting thing. I just started exercising again a couple days ago. Basically, like today's the third day. I guess today was a rest day, but I did cardio. And paradoxically, I think that I have less of an appetite. I don't know if it's just because, like, this is a lot of exercise after a long period of very little exercise, but I was finding before that I was very, very snacky, just like eating a lot of snacks, especially late at night. But I have, there's like the last few days, I've just been like way less snacky, which is not to say like not hungry at all, but just like definitely less of an urge to eat. I don't know why that is. I'm so interested. Don't forget the Aquaphor. I realized when I was gone that the Aquaphor that I have probably froze while we moved and that it probably isn't any good anymore, so I did not go look for it because I was like, oh, yeah, it kind of was in a moving truck for 4 days, so. But yeah, my lip's just gonna be fucked up for a couple more days. It's fine. Hi, Dorian. What's up? Also, I finally finished this book. I need to take it back now. So this is Ursula Le Guin. It is a series of short stories. I picked it up because of it being I picked it up because it has the Omilas in it, the ones who walk away from Omilas. And I have been wanting to read that story after seeing it referenced a couple times, but I just got this short story anthology and finally got all the way through it. The ones who walk away from Omilas is the second to the end. Excuse me. Yeah, it's the second to the end. And it's crazy how emotionally affecting it is, considering that there's no protagonist and considering that I knew every relevant detail about this story. Like, I knew everything I knew everything about it, but reading it was still emotionally affecting and I cried. Also, what's insane is that I live in Portland and I just moved here and I wanted to read this book since like God, like, when did I see that video? When did it come out? Let me see if I can find it. It's been like a few years. Hello, future me, Omilas. Why Utopias Are Evil. Is that really just from 6 months ago? There's no way. It's got to be a different one of his videos. Well, I've been wanting to read Ursula Le Guin for forever. And since before I moved up here, and now I live here, and Omilas is Salem O backwards. It actually says it in the beginning. She's like, that is why it's called Omilas, because I look at street signs and I think, what is that word backwards? Yeah. She's like, don't you read road signs backwards? Pots, walls, Salem equals shalom, shalomo equals salam equals peace, milas, oh, milas. That is how she figured it. That's how she came up with the name, which is crazy. And also, there's another story in here that is from the perspective of a tree. And it's from the perspective of a very specific tree off of, I think she said, Highway 18. And I'm like, I want to drive past there and see if that tree is still there. That is crazy. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Dorian. Found out that Chloe Cole is speaking with Turning Point USA at the college near me tomorrow. Went ahead and put the link in stream recommendations channel, but I am appalled. I know a few trans people who are students, and I'm a trans local. This is terrifying. Yeah, that sucks ass. I'm sorry. Someone I know who I know to be a generally wholesome person recently shared something on Facebook of Chloe Cole. And I commented. I was like, hey, you know, if we assume for a second that Chloe is being honest here about her feelings, it was her testimony that I've already seen. Like I watched it when it came out. We talked about it. Uh, but I was like, yeah, if she's genuine about what she feels, then I completely like I feel bad for her, and she deserves access to care and everything. But also, a fact is that she makes $200,000 a year making these appearances, and I just laid it all out. I was like, the fact is that this represents a fraction of a fraction of trans people. You know, people who transition, only like 2% of them regret, and then a majority of people who detransition end up retransitioning anyway. I just laid it all out. And he did not respond to me. He just deleted the post. And I also don't think he DM'd me. And I'm not entirely sure how to interpret that. I'm hoping at the very minimum that he's like, oh, I didn't know that I knew someone who is directly affected by these things. So I'm going to just take this down because it is impacting people on my timeline. Or maybe he was just like, I don't want to have a conversation about this. Maybe he felt called out or embarrassed or something. I don't know. But he's like a really well-meaning guy. Like I've always thought like, oh, you're a really wholesome dude. But like, I can understand why people who are wholesome and empathetic hear what happened to Chloe Cole and they go, oh my gosh, that's terrible. Oh my gosh. I bet she just feels awful, and like, of course, people who care about other people in pain will care about those things. And I don't want to necessarily fault people for having a reflexive care for other people. It just is the like, people like Chloe Cole place trans people and detransitioners in opposition to each other. Whereas I do not feel like my existence or detrans people, I don't think that we exist in opposition to one another. I think you can be detrans and that's fine. What I don't like is when you start to position yourself as like, I'm an example of why trans people shouldn't get healthcare. It's like, well, you're not trans. You have nothing to do with me. Why does your thing have anything to do with me? That's not my fault. So, yeah, I just wasn't sure how to interpret that. I read road signs upside down. Okay, cool. The event is called Exposing the Trans Agenda, a talk with a detransitioner. I bet she feels so awful about being paid bank for her quote testimonies. Right. It's too bad no one ever gave a shit about me in the first place on a broader scale, because I don't think me coming out as a detransitioner would impact anything. But man, I could probably be making a lot more money than I do now if I was just like more comfortable lying and living a lie and alienating a lot of people and pissing a lot of people off and disheartening a lot of people. Participating in a machine that is destroying people's lives, That's interesting. John says, I always win at Scrabble because I'm dyslexic and I can see all the letters in all orders at once, but I suck at Boggle because it goes vertical and diagonal and my brain doesn't do that. That's fun. 20K a year to detrans and become rep. Exactly. Are you done screaming? He was screaming earlier. The cat. Oh, geez. Oh, man. I hope that my back hurts less tomorrow. That's going to be great. Oh, my God. I learned something insane this week. I learned something that feels genuinely insane. Maybe you guys are going to be like, what is wrong with you? Like, why are you not caught up on this? And I learned that if your lower back hurts, you have to stretch your hips. Like usually when my back hurts, the reflexive thing that I want, like my low back, the tramp stamp part of your back, okay? When that hurts on me, I want to like fold over and touch my toes. Like that's what I reflexively want to do. But that always makes it worse. So what you actually need to do if your lower back hurts, especially if it hurts because you've been sitting a bunch, because what happens is it pulls, like sitting down, and especially sitting with a curved posture, like, and collapsing through your abs instead of tightening through your abs. So like this whole, it's a whole shrimp, right? And goes it goes all the way down, right? That is elongating the muscles in your lower back. So you have to get that, like, of course it doesn't help if you lean over and touch your toes because you're just stretching them the same way that they are stretching that hurts, right? What you have to do is fucking stretch your hips, which by that I mean like really, really deep lunges, like real deep lunge. Make sure you're pulling back into that hip crease, like the leg that is in front and is bent. You need to really like pull into that hip. It feels amazing. And child's pose and happy baby pose are a couple yoga poses that can help. Yeah, I also usually try to throw in like a half split. That's the secret, you guys. Stretch your hips. The nerve cluster goes beneath your glutes to your back pelvis and reaches around to the front of your knees. That's insane. I hate knowing things about the mechanics of my human body. It really makes me uncomfortable. I'm not mad at you for sharing that fact. That's a fun fact. But is that why your posterior chain needs to be stretched all the time? Because that's your whole posterior chain goes beneath your glutes to your back pelvis and then reaches around the front of your knees. I've been trying to stretch my hips, but they refuse to get any wider. True. You also need to remember, don't stretch a nerve like a tendon, glide it gently. I mean, I think that's probably what you should do with stretching in general, is like, I try to warm up a little, and I also try to ease into my stretches. You shouldn't, I had someone explain it to me when I was in middle school, where he grabbed a rubber band and started like pulling it violently back and forth until it snapped. And he was like, that's why you don't want to be like, like, and like using momentum to try to touch your toes, because then it'll like snap your tendons or rip them or whatever. So yeah, I'm always like, let's lean into this. Let's be gentle. Also, the best stretches are ones that you can increase. Like I'm touching, my leg is out on my chair, and I'm going like, okay, I'm gonna touch my toes. So what? You get the back of the leg. If you go wide enough, you can get the inside of the leg in the groin, and then you can get this going into it too, and get like a side body stretch on the right side. It feels amazing, dude. Stretching is so good for you. That's what yoga is good for. Yoga is good for stretching. And then you'll feel better. I think everybody should ramp up their self-care. If it feels a little excessive, you're probably almost there in terms of all the bullshit that you could do for self-care. Do the whole thing. Start a gratitude journal, get 10 minutes of sunlight every day, treat yourself like a plant, make sure you're drinking lots of water, make sure you get enough salt too. And there's like a lot of shit you can do for self-care that doesn't involve spending money. Or you could do a normal thing that you would do every day in a way that ends up contributing to your self-care. Like if you really savor every bite of your food and you don't watch TV while you're eating, guess what? That's mindfulness, babe. That's good for you. Can I be considered a detransitioner if I didn't medically transition, but I'm trying to social transition, only to now realize how much harder it is to be trans? Not trying to sound hurtful or anything, I just sometimes wish I wasn't non-binary and wasn't trans, because it's so much energy for me to care/correct people. I mean, I don't think that being trans requires you to correct people. I don't correct people ever when they do my pronouns wrong. I don't ever care about that. I used to care a lot, and I used to be really harmed by that, and I completely empathize with feeling like you need to correct people, but you don't have to do that. And if that is the thing that you're finding difficult about social transition, then just don't, like, You can social transition among your friends and for yourself, like by changing your gender expression. I would say that's a type of social transition, even if people around you are not honoring your pronouns. But yeah, I don't know. I know it's tough when you're early days and haven't started medical transition and like the world is fucking insane. It was easier to come out when I came out. And that's a crazy thing to me to say, is like you expect things to get easier and better for people in the future, but it was easier for me to come out when I came out than it would be for someone to do the same thing now. And I respect that it's much harder now. At least when I came out, we were mostly just dealing with like, it's an obscure issue that people don't care about very much. I love eating food at a kitchen table, just enjoying the meal in company. I highly value social meals. That is not a value that is shared by anybody that I live with. Occasionally, my partner will be like chatting with me, and then I'm like, oh, it's time for me to start cooking dinner. And then he hangs out while I'm cooking dinner and then stays and eats his meal with me. I guess, you know, I know that I think about it, he has done something like that a few times recently. So it's good to recognize when your partners do things that you care about and they don't care about. I don't really know if he's doing it intentionally, but we did have a conversation where I was like, I value maybe once a week sitting down and having a meal together. And he was like, I don't care about that. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm very, I just come in here and I push my keyboard back and I eat here. But I enjoy, yeah, the social aspect of eating a meal, sharing food. Noah suggests chair exercise for the lower back nerve. Right leg slowly up and neck back, then forward and down, then do the reverse. Wait. Back, then forward and down, then do the reverse. Okay, I don't know what that is. I can't envision that right now for some reason. I don't know if I'm strange or not, but I cannot sit still in my chair, so I'm shifting and moving around every 10 minutes or so, and that often involves rolling my lower back and stretching my hips. I fidget all the time, but for me, it's like I bring my legs up and I sit cross-legged for a little while. Or actually, what's most comfortable for me is I bring my legs up and I sit under. I put my legs underneath me and I sit on my legs and my feet, or some combination of like maybe one leg is up and the other one is down. But that's terrible for your back, apparently, or at least the way that I do it. Like I'm rolling forward too much. I'm not engaging my abs or something. Yeah, I enjoy cooking for other people. So something I will say about testosterone, people tend to associate testosterone with anger and roid rage, right? But really, like, if you're assigned female at birth and you take testosterone and you're like consistent with your shots, and if you do, especially if you do subcutaneous injections instead of intramuscular injections, you have more stable hormones that way than if you're just letting your ovaries do estrogen cycles. So there was at least one time in my past where I went back on hormones because I needed to be emotionally stable. And that was like my primary reason. And like also I was like, yeah, and it'll be easier for me to build muscle and other stuff, blah, 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 whatever. But it was primarily because I needed to be emotionally stable. Now, could I have maybe used estrogen for a similar thing? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe, but like, it might be that could have been an option. Like maybe birth control would have been the option, except that I didn't want to be on a feminizing medication. Like my boobs are obviously bigger whenever I'm on estrogen hormone fucking birth control. So, yeah. But like, if you're worried about being more irritated, it's it's probably just going to be a little bit more predictable, your emotional state. So if you're irritated all the time, then you'll come up with ways to deal with that. Whereas when you're on an estrogen cycle, you're just randomly irritated, and it's like unexpected even for you sometimes how intense you come across, you know? Dorian says it's much more motivating to cook for another person. Cooking for one sucks. I don't know. I lived alone for like 9 months when my partner and I separated, and I didn't cook for myself every day, but I I used cooking for myself as like almost a holy temple space dedicated to loving myself. And like if it was a longer term thing, I don't know how I would feel about it now. Maybe I would maybe like meal prep. You know, maybe I might make 2 meals on the weekend and then alternate between those 2 meals for the rest of the week or something. I could probably do that, but I would still cook for myself. And occasionally I would do stuff like make a curry from scratch. I learned how to make a curry because I wanted to show myself that I loved and valued myself by dedicating time to learning a skill that like only benefited me, and that was just something that I wanted to do. And so I know how to make a really fucking good curry. Like I cannot even describe to you. I make amazing curry. And it like every time I do it, which is not very often because it takes forever of like standing there at the stove, letting the sauce develop flavors over time. It takes for fucking ever. But I don't think I ever feel more loved than when I do that for myself. Like it's devotional. It's sacred. Indian curry or Thai curry. I think that mine is an Indian curry. I do so I'll start with onion. You know, you cook the onion down a little bit, pop in garlic, maybe some red pepper flakes at the same time as the garlic, give it a little spice, toast those off a little bit. I don't really use any whole spices. I did use fennel seed a couple times, but it turns out I don't like fennel seed. But that would be the time where I would add that in. Like any whole spices need toasting. And then I usually make my own custom spice blend each time out of some combination of, you know, it's like cumin, coriander seed, fucking paprika, turmeric, maybe a little garlic and onion powder, some salt, probably, cardamom powder, and clove. Those are typically the things that I mix together to make my own masala, basically. And then, yeah, that goes in. That gets toasted very, very small amount, and then water goes in. And then you basically like, whether if you're cooking like chicken in there, usually I'll put the chicken in around that same time to get it like cooked all the way through. But the way that you build the flavor in the sauce is by just keeping water on hand, and you pour a little bit of water in every once in a while and make sure you're scraping up the spices and everything off the bottom. And then it'll cook off again, and then you put more water in, and you just do that for like an hour. Like the whole process takes like an hour, and then you have an amazing fucking curry, and it's so great. And it truly is. It's sort of transformational to dedicate that kind of love and attention to yourself. And it feels good to do it for other people, you know? But I did it for, like, the reason why I know how to do it is because I was like, I am going to love myself, and I'm going to take time to do that. And it's fucking 2 years later now. 3, I don't remember what year it was that I moved out. It's several years later now, and I still feel like that was a hugely important moment for me. and that I still like to do that for myself. So, yeah. Yeah, that's an Indian curry. Oh, and then right at the end, you hit it with the heavy cream. And maybe if you want to throw a vegetable in there, like maybe I'll roast off some broccoli and then put the roasted broccoli in at the very end, or roasted cauliflower or something. So yeah, or like if I didn't do chicken, I'll throw in the chickpeas kind of toward the end to they really just need to warm through. But yeah, hit it with the heavy cream at the end. Delicious. I'm thinking I might have PCOS because of facial fuzz. I'm hoping that T might adjust that. Every single time I took birth control pills, I felt depressed, tired, and dizzy AF. I'm curious, wasn't estrogen the hormones that give you more energy? So yeah, actually, testosterone is supposed to be the thing that gives you more energy. But again, I think like having stable hormones is like the most important thing. If you're having like emotional, so I don't want to be clear on this too, from the transmasculine perspective, from either perspective really. A lot of people feel like they are able to emotionally regulate better when the correct hormones are in their brain. So sometimes for AFAB people, it's like they're very reactive, they cry easily, they get really angry, and then they go on testosterone and they're like, oh, my emotions feel more normal now and more easily able to like be handled. It varies for everybody else, but this is why I advocate for people to try low dose hormones if they're curious about it. Because I think it's really obvious in a pretty immediate sense whether it's going to be good for you or not. And I think taking a low dose of hormones for a month is probably not going to kill you. Chicken tacos. That's a really good idea. I've been trying to figure out like what is another meal that I can make with chicken breast. Something that I've been doing recently is I think it's functionally chicken chili. I put chicken breast in the slow cooker and I let that go for a few hours. I'll throw in from the beginning, I put the breasts in there and then I put some crushed tomato, some chicken broth, and maybe a little bit of Mexican spices. I let that go for like 3 or 4 hours. And then I add in a can of corn and a bag of pepper and onion blend frozen vegetables. And about an hour later, we eat that. It's like Mexican chicken chili, or like a Mexican soup or something. But that's a great call. I could just slow cook the chicken, shred it, and make chicken tacos. That's another good idea. Ask your Indian friends for an authentic Indian dish like tikka masala. It's really funny. Wait, why is it funny? Oh, it's because tikka masala is not authentic. That's why? Because tikka masala is a bullshit Americanism like butter chicken. I mixed polka kielbasa sausage with eggs and it is extremely salty. Yeah, I bet. Kale or spinach in a curry or dal is good. Okay. Yeah, I definitely enjoy the idea of getting a bag of frozen spinach and like cooking that into something. Yeah, food is love. What are we eating tonight? Tonight is stir fry. I do meal planning now. It's so good, you guys. I love knowing what to do every day because Friday night me made a plan and I'm just like, yes, Friday night me, I will do that. Martian NB says, I started tea a year ago and I feel so much better mentally, and I wasn't even aware of how much it would change sensory input and emotional regulation. Yeah, it makes a huge difference. But, you know, I understand if you're like bipolar and you're on lithium and shit that you might be concerned about like how would going on tea affect you. I think those are totally reasonable concerns, but yeah, that's why I think like just try it out a little bit and you'll probably be good. Under the supervision of a doctor, ideally. What is dal? I don't think I've ever had or made dal. Nope, not Dahlia. Why autocorrect Google? Stop autofilling shit. You're so annoying. Dal, dried split pulses such as lentils, peas, and beans that do not require soaking before cooking. What the fuck? Wait, is dal just like curry soup with beans? Like chickpea curry soup? Is it exactly the same thing that I make when I make chickpea curry, except thinner and soupier? Lentils, curry spices, onion, ginger, garlic. Oh yeah, fresh ginger, also very important to include in a curry. Fresh ginger gets grated in there on the microplane. I have discovered a new form of lazy cooking, random frozen bags into a rice cooker. Hey, listen, whatever works. Dal is Indian lentil soup. I have just been informed by my husband that he cannot digest lentils. Or like maybe I just need to find a different presentation. I need to touch base on him. I might ask like, okay, he's not as big of a fan of the curry as we are. So maybe that would just be a really terrible combo. Like, hey, do you want curry, that thing you don't like very much, with lentils, that thing that you also don't like very much? It's mostly red lentil based dal. Okay. I love to incorporate different options. You know, I am not a vegetarian or a vegan, but I like occasionally having a vegetarian meal or even sometimes a vegan meal. I've done that by accident a couple times, actually. So yeah, I like having the option. Lentils are high in fiber. Totally. Yeah. I was recently making a lentil soup that my partner was like, I don't want to ever eat this again. Like, okay. He was like, I need brats, and I'm gonna make you eat a brat, even though you don't like brats, because first of all, your flavors have changed. And I'm like, you're correct, my tastes have changed over the last few years. I don't think I'm gonna enjoy a brat any more now than I would have several years ago, but you're right. And he was also kind of jokingly like, and I have eaten that lentil soup so many times, and I didn't want to any of the times, but I did it anyway, and I'm like, okay, that's fair. I think that's fair. I just decided to try to incorporate new options, and they did not work. Yeah, my husband for some reason has digestive issues with lentils a little bit. Better than bouillon? I love better than bouillon. Okay, I have a question. Is better than bouillon actually, is it just basically bouillon but in like sticky format, or is it actually like we roasted a chicken down and vegetables down, and then like we cooked it down so far that it became a gel? My ex couldn't handle legumes in general. Yeah, my partner doesn't like beans for texture reasons. I don't think it's a huge digestive issue, but he's the one who randomly will bring up like, oh yeah, we could just buy a huge amount of rice and beans. And I'm like, you don't even like beans. And he's like, I will eat them because it'll save us money. And I'm like, all right, whatever, dude. Like, we might be about to go into a whole like, yeah, let's buy a 50-pound bag of rice and a 50-pound bag of beans, and let's see how many different ways we can spin that. And we would save money, I'm certain. Definitely, it would replace or supplement protein in every single meal. So. Ooh, also, fun fact I just learned. If you want to add protein to rice, you can cook it in bone broth instead of in water, which I think is a fantastic idea. GI issues with lentils is not that uncommon, I think. Still, all of this food talk has made me really hungry. Sorry. I just love food so much, and I just ate a protein bar, so I am not hungry. Cooked down veggies with a lot of salt. I hope that that's what it is. I keep buying better than bouillon rather than bouillon cubes because I assume that it is what it claims to be. Better than boo is just the seasoning and vegetable ingredients, which is most of what commercial boo is anyway. I guess I assumed that commercial regular bouillon is like chemicals, you know, like food chemistry making a flavor rather than it being literally like roasted down bone broth or something, or like roasted down vegetables. I love food so much too. I know. I am what did someone say earlier? There's two different kinds of people. There are people who eat to live and people who live to eat. I most certainly live to eat. I was actually just thinking about this the other night. I keep being like, you know, I want to be careful about what I eat, and I want to drink less alcohol and stuff. You know, I have all these like health conscious concerns. But like, am I going to enjoy my life less if I don't partake in some of these things at least sometimes? And like the problem I think too is not so much that I am partaking or not, but rather the problem is that I spend a lot of time being concerned about whether I should be partaking more or less. And it's like, why don't I just like enjoy things and keep in mind some level of moderation and the fact that like something is going to kill me someday. I think that I really just don't like the idea that something I'm doing now could kill me later, and that I might feel like I could have gotten more time, except I didn't have the self-control to not drink alcohol or something. Yeah, I don't know. I've been thinking a lot of different things. Something about turning 30. If you're not here yet, I just want to let you know that apparently this is what happens. If any of you who are older than me can tell me, did this happen to you when you turned 30? Where you're like, I am suddenly very interested in what kind of person I'm going to become. Like, whereas in my 20s, I was just kind of trying to get by. And now I'm like, okay, how do I want to spend my 30s? How do I want to spend my 40s? I think, yeah, like, am I about to be a college student in my 30s? Like, yeah, maybe. What kind of lifestyle do I want to live? What kind of priorities do I have? Am I drinking kombucha for the health reasons or because I like it? Like, well, I really, really like kombucha. Oatmeal, though, I'm mostly eating the oatmeal because it's good for me. I don't really care about oatmeal. Hold up, you had a protein bar that fully satiated your Sims hunger meter, like full. I was just saying earlier, Ox, that I just started exercising again this week, and for some reason, that has killed my appetite. So I wasn't hungry, I just ate a protein bar because I recognized that I hadn't eaten very much, and I was taking a 5-minute break, and so I could shove it in. But yeah. John says, this is how I feel about cannabis. I used to smoke a whole lot. I smoke less now, more CBD than THC, but no regrets if that shaves a few years off my life. Cigarettes, though, that I regret. Yeah, I was thinking about that. Yeah, whether it's like smoking weed or like drinking alcohol or like getting crossfaded, you know, like, is that something that you should not do? Or like, are you going to enjoy your life if you do that? You know, that's the trade-off that everybody kind of has to make. 30s are the I will never have a career years, and 40s are the I will die alone years. Okay. I'm constantly having an existential crisis over how I threw away my 20s developing an office drone skill set. Oof, that's rough. Ooh, smoked cheese. I got some smoked Gouda recently. Like, I sprung for a little tiny, like, wheel of cheese. It was pretty thin. It was like a little wheel. Man, it was delicious. God, it was fucking good. I had to rediscover and reinvent myself, having to come out trans a second time to everyone when I started HRT. That's its own thing, but living aggressively trans at 32 helped give me a lot of focus on what I'm doing. Hell yeah. Ooh. ACAB includes Tone Police in the YouTube chat says, I make slow cooker garlic parmesan mac. 2 chicken breasts cooked shredded, container of parm, cup of chicken stock, half a stick of cream cheese, garlic powder, pasta of choice. What? Okay, so in the slow cooker, We put chicken breasts. Do you wait? Do you pre-cook the chicken breasts, or do you cook them in the slow cooker? Because like if I like to do one pot meals. This is something that I have gotten into in the last couple of years, really the last like year and a half. I like to do one pot meals because then that makes cleanup easier. My younger sibling does the dishes. That's like the one chore that they have. So, I'm trying to streamline things and be conscientious. Sometimes I make more dishes, but I try to do a lot of one pot meals. They're very quick, very easy. So if I were to do what you just described, I would probably put the chicken breast in the slow cooker with the chicken stock and let them cook in that and then shred them. That's what I do with when I make Mexican soup or the chicken chili or whatever. I cook them in the slow cooker with the crushed tomato and some chicken stock, and then I go in with some forks and I just shred them inside the slow cooker. So that's probably what I would do. And then put in Parmesan. If you need to add a little bit more chicken stock, that would be the time to do it. Half a stick of cream cheese, garlic powder, and pasta of choice. And I guess you just kind of, at that point, you only let it go for as long as it takes for the pasta to cook through. That sounds incredible. I'm gonna copy what you wrote and put it in like a Google Doc or something so that I can look at it later. Because that sounds incredible. I'm just gonna stick it in my little meal planning thing down here. Oh my god, what just happened? Oh, nope. We're gonna paste without formatting. Wait, why? Why is it white? God damn it. Okay. The text is white. And I need it to be a different color, but I don't know where to do that. Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. Now I can actually fucking see. Cool. Slow cooker in chicken stock, then take it out and shred it. Okay, cool. Nice. Hell yeah. My body is so sore. Are we gonna get to the stream goal today? I feel like I need to take another progress flex. Random jerk, you made being trans your whole identity. Me, a trans community outreach specialist. Damn. I would love for my life to be not oriented around being trans. It's not my fault that I'm a persecuted minority who has to constantly defend my existence. I'm very excited to come away from stream with more ideas of how to cook things. I never asked why you are white. Damn. You can't just ask people why they're white. Oh my god, I need to do like a semi-annual Mean Girls rewatch. Haven't taken the time to watch Mean Girls in a couple of years, actually. Classic. Was that movie written by Tina Fey or directed by Tina Fey? Directed by Mark Waters. Tina Fey was in it. I thought she was a writer on it, at least. Yeah, written by Rosalind Wiseman and Tina Fey. Okay, cool. I was correct. I feel like donating a penny to break the 6969 seal. I know, that's Drea, you accidentally cursed us because you got our donation amount to 6969 and now no one wants to donate and ruin it. Mean Girls is so good. You should watch it. It's so fun. It's a fun little movie. My life is oriented around food. Yeah, I've been definitely like more snacky than I would like to be recently. But is it better than Legally Blonde? I haven't seen Legally Blonde in a long time, so I cannot report. Damn, my hair looks amazing right now. I don't feel like it normally looks this good after a shower, but it's looking very, 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 very good. Wow. That's weird. I don't know why she's doing that. See, yeah, I don't think Mean Girls is a movie that you have to watch at the right age. I guess maybe it was a little bit nostalgia for me. I guess I'll get my husband to watch it with me sometime and like tell me, does this movie hold up if you didn't watch it when you were a teenage female? I'd rather watch a movie called Nice Girls. I guess I'm just a bit of an empath like that. You goober. Ya big goob. So another thing about Ursula Le Guin is that the last story in here is called The Day Before the Revolution. And each one of these stories in this anthology has a little like intro that she wrote after the fact. Drea, thank you. I'm gonna forget what I'm in the middle of saying if I change that right now, so I'll deal with it in a second. Thank you. So she is talking about how she wrote this last story the day before the revolution. It's about one of the ones who walk away from Omilas. And she says she's describing people who follow Odoniism in this story is what it's called. She says Odoniism is anarchism, not in the bomb in the pocket. Sorry, not the bomb in the pocket stuff, which is terrorism, whatever name it tries to dignify itself with. Not the social Darwinist economic, quote, libertarianism of the far right, but anarchism, as prefigured in early Taoist thought and expounded by Shelley and Kropotkin, Goldman, and Goodman. Anarchism's principal target is the authoritarian state, whether capitalist or socialist. Its principal moral practical theme is cooperation, solidarity, mutual aid. It is the most idealistic and to me the most interesting of all political theories. Her novel Dispossessed is about a world full of people who call themselves Odonian. Therefore, it is a novel about an anarchist society. So that I did not have a plan for what I was going to read next, but now I'm going to read The Dispossessed by Ursula Le Guin because I'm like curious about reading a society of anarchists from someone who seemingly does not believe, she does not call herself an anarchist, but she finds it an interesting political theory. So that's cool. Thank you. Yes, Drea. $69.69, $30.31. That brings us to 100, I believe. Hell yes. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everybody being generous. And for hanging out with me as well. But in this moment, we're highlighting the generosity. Thank you. So I'll do two things. I'll grab the cat, and then I'll flex. Does that sound good? Let's annoy the cat. Hello, baby. Hello. Yes. Hello. Mr. Baby. Hello, baby. Hello. Are you saying hello to everybody? Yeah? If it's a book about anarchy, does it start in the center of the book? That would be fun. Hello, baby. Are you my love? Are you my sweet little baby? My love? Hmm? What are you looking at? You okay? You okay? Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you for the love. Oh my god, please stop digging into my shoulder. Ow. Ow. Come on, dude. Digging into my shoulder. Now the flexing. I wish I had black cats. Mine are all white and they get hair all over my black clothes. It's funny. We're going to be getting another cat at some point. I do not know what that cat is going to look like. I'm gonna have to learn how to flex my shoulders. I don't actually know how. I also have this like massive, I think this is part of my tricep back here. It's like huge. And then my shoulders are so small. So I'm working on my shoulders. Oh, yeah, that's sore right back there. Oh, yeah. That's part of my shoulder anatomy. Oh. Ow. Oh my god, dude. So sore. Oh. No, I'm sorry about your paragraph, Ox. The word for world for oh my god. The word for world is forest is also really good. Is that Ursula Le Guin? The word for world is forest. Yeah, okay, that is Ursula Le Guin. Science fiction novel. She does so many weird. I don't want to get stuck on one. I don't want to get stuck on one author, but I do happen to really like her, and she is considered a good author and highly recommended. So it really bites getting old. I don't really think that my pain right now is from getting old. It's mostly just because I have been inactive for a period of time, and I just decided to start like throwing myself into a full workout regimen this week. So naturally I'm going to be sore, and I'm kind of expecting to I'm basically like I think planning to use this summer to get really jacked to the extent that it's possible for me to do that just at home. Le Guin is a really good author to get stuck on. That's true. But yeah, I want to make sure I'm diversifying. My plan is basically it's supposed to be one book per month. This one was February's book technically, so I'm 2 months behind. So I guess functionally it's just like read 12 books this year. Maybe the next book I get should be shorter, or not a series of short stories that I feel the need to pause between each one to kind of emotionally process what happened. So I'll read The Dispossessed next, since I'm so interested in her writing an anarchist world. But yeah, that'll probably be it. Has she passed? Did Ursula? Yeah, 2018. So 7 years ago, aged 88, just like the Pope. The Pope was 88 years old when he died just now. Which is funny because that's the Hitler number. Yay. Okay, what else have we got? Becky Chambers also fits the vibe quite well. Becky Chambers. And like most of the time I'm more of a fantasy reader most of the time, but you know, we like a little sci-fi thrown in there. I still think I will prefer fantasy over sci-fi, but I like that the lines get blurred sometimes. Sometimes you have a fantasy hippogriff that you take across space and put in cryo, and it's like a little bit of a blurred situation. Also, Octavia Butler. I also love that all these recommendations are women. It just is amusing to me. Like, instead of having like 7 male authors, my chat is like, look at all these female authors we could be talking about. Which is nice. I need to go to the library tomorrow, I think. Turn in my book, get a new book, and then I shall keep reading. I also have other books out. Like, I have my Pacific Northwest foraging book out, but this is not like something you just sit down and read. I think this is like you take it out into the woods with you and you look for stuff. Maybe a cursory familiarity with some of the pictures at least would be good, so then you can know what you're looking for. I think the one bad thing about the books that I have that have to do with plant identification is that these only identify edible plants. And so then there's going to be like a lot of species that are not edible. And I'm just going to be like, well, I guess I don't fucking know what that is. I like how he just went back immediately into his spot after I picked him up and bothered him and he clawed me and then I put him down. He just immediately laid back down in his spot. And now I'm bothering him again. Hello, sir. Oh, I'm going to put my foot underneath you. It's really nice and warm under there. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm done bothering him now. Poor baby. I read so damn slowly. Yeah, I don't normally read so slowly, but I took forever to get through this book. Short stories. They make you stop and think too much. Speaking of female authors, if you want to diversify what writers you're following, I heard of this series about a boy wizard you should check out. The author was recently canceled for being a woman, I think. True. Wait, I thought that author's name was Robert Galbraith. You're telling me that's a woman? Not very proud of being a woman, is she? Going by a male pen name. Like, she could have gone by a female pen name with Robert Galbraith. We're talking about Joanne Rowling now. She could have gone by some other... She could have even just gone by a fucking initials again. There was nothing that made her take on a male name of the guy who invented conversion therapy. I used to read fast. I'm hoping that reading one contiguous novel, I will get through it faster because I'll be like, I really need to research it. Yes, Robert Galbraith, the conversion... J.K. Rowling uses the pen name Robert Galbraith for her crime murder novels. Yeah, that's the name that she chose. You think that she might have done a quick little Google? Y'all are funny. Oh my goodness. Sleepy, sleepy. Rowling should go by Madame Reclusive. Madame Recluse. She's weird. I do not understand what's going on in her brain. Finished a book recently that was a series of poems by an autistic AFAB person. Felt like such an accomplishment with the attention span I have nowadays. Hell yes. I hadn't even considered putting poetry on the list of things. Poetry is not on my list of books I intend to read. I'm more like, let me read some like fiction, I guess. I don't think any nonfiction books are really on the list. I probably should just start. I have an entire bookshelf here, and then there's also an entire giant bookshelf in the living room that my partner and I both have books on. I probably should just start reading any of the books that we have instead of going to the library. But it's important to me to check stuff out at the library, you know? I want to show my support of the library. You should, even if you don't need anything from the library, you should get a library card. And even if you have the money to afford any book you could want, you should check out a book from the library every couple of months. Just to be like, look, this is a service that we still need. If the number of people who use the library goes down, then people can justify like defunding the library. So a very quick, easy, free thing you can do as a member of the community, pick up any fucking book. You don't even have to read it, but check it out for a week and then turn it back in. That's going to be the call to action this week. Whatever it is that we talk about on Sunday, the call to action this week is going to be support your local library, because that's such an easy, direct, tangible thing that you can do literally no matter where you live in the United States. Has everybody seen Pedro Pascal in his Protect the Dolls shirt? I love him so much. He's definitely a big part of why The Last of Us is so good. Obviously, I loved him in Game of Thrones. That was kind of, I believe, the role that sort of shot him, propelled him into being a household name. And then he's also gonna, I don't even care about the Fantastic Four, but I just like Pedro Pascal so much that I might go ahead and watch it anyway. What else has he been in? You don't really see him much in The Mandalorian, but now that I have Disney Plus, I probably should get around to watching The Mandalorian. Is that a good show? People like it. I feel like people hyped it a lot when it was first coming out. Is it any good though? Actually? Dali also points out that there are free programs as a member of the public library. If enough attendance happens, they are more likely to do that event or program again. Yeah, I get emails regularly from my local library that's telling me about a lot of events there. I haven't gone to any of them as yet. A lot of them are obviously like more children oriented, and that will probably only increase as we get closer to summertime. But yeah, if there's events, dude, you can also get all kinds of other shit at the library. You can rent, and by rent, I mean you can check out a sewing machine. You can check out a drill. They have tools at a lot of libraries nowadays that you can check out the same way that you check out a book, which is crazy. First 2 seasons of The Mandalorian were all right, not as good as Andor. Sure, I don't expect anything to be as good as Andor as far as Star Wars goes, but that's good to know. Thank you. People like The Mandalorian. I don't. It was boring mostly. Okay. No matter where you live, full stop. The evangelist coffer is being used to export anti-intellectualism to UK and elsewhere too. Well, I don't know how it is in other countries or whatever. I just know that basically every community has a local library, or like there is one nearby, you know, to some degree, pretty much anywhere in America, unless you live way the fuck out in an area where there is no town. But if you live anywhere near a town, there are libraries. So you should be anywhere in America able to support a local library. Yeah, tool libraries. My library has a cry cut you can borrow from the makerspace. What the fuck is a cry cut? Oh, I've seen those before. Okay. They cut out like stickers. They print and cut the stickers, right? Like that's basically what that does. Create customized labels, cards, and crafts. Works with iron-on, vinyl, paper materials, etc. Free museum passes at the public library. You can rent a mobile hotspot. Yeah, you can print. Oh, that's the fucking main thing I do at the library. I go print pages. Oh, man. Chat, I have to tell you something, and it's a secret. My partner is home from work, so I'm gonna whisper it to you, okay? So, you know, there's a fan fiction called Harry Potter and the Methods of Rationality, and it only exists on the internet. And my partner has repeatedly said that he really would like to have like a bound copy. And we've talked previously about how the story kind of perfectly fits in like a 2-part novel. And I'm really seriously considering basically formatting the fanfiction into books and like bookbinding them myself, because I know that you can do bookbinding. It's one of those things that people do on TikTok. So I'm thinking about doing that as like a either birthday or Christmas present or something, because it's gonna take for fucking ever. It's gonna take forever. But yeah, that's an idea that I had. It's a secret. Shh, don't tell anybody. All 29 of you are sworn to secrecy. Dorian says, I worked at a public library recently, working there in the summer, and very understaffed and poorly managed. It was so chaotic and stressful, TBH. Oof, yeah, that's tough. I would have to learn so much in order to be able to do this, but I do think it would be fun. So that's kind of like But you reminded me about the library because that's where I would have to use the printer at the library. Like that's the only way to do it. So I'm just kind of trying to figure out what would the logistics be? How expensive is that going to be? No, Nuvenol, no. Ah, no. Yeah, you can print at libraries. Sometimes, like, some libraries charge you like 10 cents per page, or they might charge you like 25 cents per page if it's color. I don't actually know. I never get color, so I don't know how much it costs. Um, but also, some of them have like, you have a certain number of free pages, and if you get past like 10 pages, then you have to start paying for it. But yeah, I go to the library to use the printer all the fucking time. Just, I don't want to own a printer. I'll just go to the library. Easy. I still want to go to library grad school sometimes. Dorian, if you're not already in the Discord server, Max in the Discord server, I am Max is their username. They're Swedish, so the process might be different for them over there, but they are in school for library science. And so if you ever want to talk to anybody, they're fairly active in the server and you'll see them pretty regularly. So I would recommend being like, hey, is this like worth doing, or what is rewarding about it, or what sucks about it, or whatever. TBH, I haven't had a library card for decades. I tried to get one a while ago, but I didn't have the right ID. Yeah, go with your photo ID and at least one piece of mail with your address and name on it. Catboy communism on Discord. Okay, yeah, cool. You're already in there. Yeah, you should. Yeah, you should be. You should be in there talking to Max about library science because they are very much immersed in school for that right now. Drea says, I went to the library at Trinity College on my trip. Your trip to Ireland? The smell alone was worth it. That old book smell is so amazing. It's nice. Yeah, it's like that. I don't even know how you describe the old book smell. Not like musty old books. Just like that nice, like old stuff smell. That vintage smell. Just reminded myself that I wanted to keep a lookout on Facebook for a bicycle. I don't know why. I don't know what tickled my brain that made me remember that, but I haven't looked at it in a while. Facebook Marketplace. I was totally gung-ho about just getting basically any cheap bike with gears. And then my partner was like, oh, I want to get a foldable bike. And I'm like, okay, well, that's going to be like hundreds of dollars. I just wanted to get a shitty bike for 75 bucks off of Facebook Marketplace. So now I'm in all this like confusion and apprehension about what kind of bicycle I want. It doesn't seem like a terribly difficult master's program, but I am low energy and generally unwell and burned out and very mentally ill in a way that is not conducive to being in school, alas. Fair. I think I mentioned it earlier. I'm going to mention it again. There's this app called Finch. It's a self-care app. It does have streaks, but you can turn the streaks off. That makes it harder for me to use it. But it's very useful. You can set a series of tasks, and it's all nice stuff like, you know, thank yourself for getting it through the day, and get out of bed and drink water and write down one thing you liked about today. Like it's a self-care app to help encourage you, and I definitely encourage anybody who's feeling overwhelmed to take specific time to just be kind to yourself, even if it's in small moments. Or another one that I have on my list is like take 3 deep breaths. So sometimes maybe I'm not even stressed. I'm just looking at the app and I'm like, oh yeah, take 3 deep breaths. I'll go ahead and just do that right now. And then I'll like take my 3 deep breaths. And then afterwards I feel good. And I hit the little ding ding and it's like, yay, you did it. And I'm like, yeah, I feel better now. I didn't even feel bad necessarily beforehand, you know, and just little shit like that. It's preventative care. Yeah, owning a printer is more trouble than it's worth. So much easier to go to the library. I just saw something recently that was like, you need to be careful if you own a printer. If you print propaganda, like if you print flyers or brochures or newsletters that are political in nature and you intend to distribute them, a lot of printers apparently have a built-in like tracking, like basically anything that it prints, because it's printing in like a bunch of tiny dots, there's like a code in every letter on the page. It's like a pattern that identifies your printer specifically. So that's like another reason to use the library printer, because then at least it can't be traced back to your fucking house. That is crazy. I just learned about that. Check out the picture I left in Discord. Oh! Oh, I've seen this from a different angle. Oh, I know this place. Hold on. Can you... Excuse me. Can you... Hold on. I'm trying to get it bigger. I want it to be fuller screen than that. Okay. This library. I've seen this library from the balcony angle at the end of the room. What would be behind you, I think. Yeah, that's cool. I love that. Neat. What? Okay, now that's back where it needs to be. Okay, cool. If you print out the library, they have your address. Yeah, but like they're not going to necessarily libraries deliberately do not keep information about you. Like, because that information can be subpoenaed. They don't track, like, what did you personally print. Of course, at the library, they have your address. Like, they have your information on file. They can send you stuff in the mail or whatever. But, the library doesn't keep track of what you personally printed. And when I just recently got a library card, it asked on the form, would you like us to keep track of your checkout history? And I said no. Because the library, like, librarians are some of the best people when it comes to resisting bullshit. Like, they will do stuff like delete all of your printer, like, or all of your checkout history if the cops ask for it. And they'll be like, oops, sorry, it's gone. I don't know. It's like safe for you to check out stuff, especially if you have that option. How do they know what you print at home, though? So I was just saying, Darren, that the printer itself has... It's printing its own serial number it's like hiding in the letters and the pictures that you print at home. So the cops can look very closely at the page and they can see the serial number. And then most of these fucking printers nowadays, you have an account that you have to be logged into in order to use it. And they can even remotely shut down printers and shit like that. Like force you to have a subscription. So it's like, it's very easy for anybody who knows what to look for to find your printer and information about you directly versus printing at the library where the library doesn't keep track of what you personally printed. This is why printers won't print black and white if yellow toner is low. I didn't know. I didn't know that that's why. Oh my god. I want to kill someone. I'm not going to, but that's crazy. That's crazy. I didn't know that that's why. I hate everybody. Oh my god. Just give me a fucking printer that works. I hate you so much. I scream. I always, quote, forget my card and get a 1-hour guest pass for the computer. Nothing at the library to flag that I was even there that day. Yeah. If you need to do something especially crazy, I guess. Bean Cream Tween says, I keep my paper and 3D printers air-gapped. Like, I physically connect a USB cable or SD card. Oh, you just don't connect to them through Wi-Fi. Some of them, like, require it nowadays. They're like, you can't even use it unless you're connected to the Wi-Fi. So if I were to buy a printer, I would buy an old one. Oh my god. Oh, the lemon gets concentrated at the bottom of the glass. It's so delicious. Yeah, reading history at the library is to keep track of things I borrowed, and that only happened if I chose to use it. When the books are checked back in, your name is no longer attached to that item. Exactly. Libraries are perfect. Libraries are amazing. We support them. I wouldn't probably volunteer at a library, but I do think it would be a great place to work. I just don't like being indoors all the time. I think it would be good for me to have like more outside time. That would be good. In fact, probably after I get done with the stream, I'm going to take a minute to just go hang out outside because I think it would feel good. And oh man, the days are already so much longer. Ooh, out of curiosity, are we going to be able to get to 69 likes? I'm only going to be here for a little while longer, and that would be pretty lit. But the days are so long. The days are so much shorter during the winter, but I didn't even experience the shortest of the days because that happened a month before I got here. But man, it's like already the days are so long, and it's fucking April. It's still like 3 more months. Is it two? Wait, hold on. No, solstice is in July, right? Yeah, solstice. Wait, no, solstice is in June. So it's only like 2 more months. It's 2 more months until solstice, and the days are so long. I love it. I love it up here so much. Darren says, I work at a library. It is a great workplace. I love the library so much. I don't do books, but sometimes they have anime. They also have graphic novels. And yeah, you can check out DVDs at the library, and there's also spaces you can use if you need to study, or if you need to record. There are like sound booth recording booths at libraries now, which is so cool. God, I just am never going to shut up about how much I love libraries. They're the most important thing in a community as far as I'm concerned. I wonder how hard it would be to make a custom 2D printer. Yeah, that's really interesting, because my partner has talked before about, you know, once you have a 3D printer, you can kind of 3D print another 3D printer. So yeah, I'm curious if you could make... I just want, like, it only has to be, like, this big, you know? It only has to be as big as the piece of paper and, like, the immediate one area where it's printing at a given time. Like a cry cut. That's all I want. I just want, like, a little shitty printer for fucking documents. That's literally all I ever use it for. That doesn't track me. in some fucked up way. I wonder if the printer head is something that you could order from China. And it's like, good luck tracking the fucking serial number on that thing. Yes, Glamour Claw. I was always able to update and print my resume at my local library whenever I didn't have a laptop. I've done that before too. I have done that, like printing like 15 copies of my resume at the library. I think at one point I did print out the passport application and then I didn't submit the passport application. And yeah, I've printed stuff for school. I'm sure that I printed stuff for school. Yeah, I'm the printer rebel. Yes, just being able to work in a quiet place. Oh, that's funny. You can make a lathe with a lathe. I love that. Trying to stretch my shoulders a little bit. They hurt like a son of a bitch. But it like feels good because I know that I'm gonna get stronger. It's like the weirdest pain when you're sore from working out because you're like, oh man, this sucks. But also, I'm gonna be so ripped later. And it gets to a point where it genuinely feels good. I'm like, yes, that feels amazing. But meanwhile, my body is like, I'm so stressed out. My library is great about if you are doing a job application, then the time limit doesn't always apply. Librarians will bend the rules because they want to help you. They're the coolest people. I love librarians. It's crazy how much I love librarians. I don't even love environmental science workers as much as I love librarians, and I want to be an environmental science worker. Like, I love librarians. I read a story once where a person was like, so yeah, in order to get a library card, you have to have a piece of mail with your address on it. But I forgot to bring that. So the librarian grabbed like an empty envelope or like a copy of the newsletter or something, put it in the envelope and had me write my name and address on it. And then I handed it back to her and she was like, oh, look at that. A piece of mail with your name and address on it. And then just gave them a library card. And I'm like, oh, they're so good. It's like dogs. It's like when you get that feeling where you're like, the world is not good enough for dogs. We don't deserve dogs. That's how I feel about librarians. I'm like, we don't deserve you. You're too good. You're too pure. I need someone in my life who cares about libraries the same way I do. I just feel like such a weirdo. Bean Cream Tween says, pen plotters are pretty easy to build. It's not nearly the same fidelity or speed as a LaserJet or inkjet, but one nice benefit is that you can, quote, print with nearly any pen you have. Pen plotters. I see. Okay. It's like a 3D printer, but it holds a pen. Got it. Okay. My library in New Orleans actually gives monthly passes to the zoo and aquarium. I love it. So much. Yeah, I don't know that any of you have ever seen me as happy as I am talking about libraries. Oh my god. I have a library friend, can confirm they are 11 out of 10. Yeah, totally. It's true. Yeah, libraries are one of the only places you're allowed to go without the expectation that you'll buy something. Totally. I've said it before. I'm pretty sure that my mom relied on the library as a way of childcare, like because, you know, I would like go to the library after school and just hang out there until she picked me up, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, in retrospect, she was just kind of using that as a placeholder for childcare," which got a little bit easier when I was in like high school or middle school or whatever, and I had like sports after school that would take up time. But yeah, definitely The library was a huge, very, very, very significant part of my childhood. I guess public parks. You can go to public parks without the expectation that you'll buy something. That, yeah, it is a place. It just happens to be an outdoor place. So if we're focusing down on like only places where you go indoors. And honestly, my partner and I like to go places and browse. So like I guess there's an expectation that you buy something, but we just go to browse and look at stuff and talk to each other and point at things. I think I would love to be a librarian. You should. Librarians are amazing. Now I want a sci-fi story with a librarian that's a sapient dog. That would be hilarious. That would make me very happy. Hold on. Whoa, not what I wanted. Can you build your own 2D printer? I'm gonna look that up later. I mean, I looked it up just now, but I'll read it later. Oh, I'm gonna try this fucking slow cooker garlic parm. You have no idea. Got me fucked up on garlic parm. Can we make libraries additions / connected to your local courthouses, or at least have them be in the same jurisdiction? Think about how much easier it would be to print documents you need for cases. I would say that the main public library should still be not right next to the courthouse, but if the courthouse could have a mini, like, computer lab, that would be great. What I'm hearing is that being a librarian is what you should do for your future career. No, I love librarians. I don't want to be one. I don't want to host events for children. I don't want to work indoors all day. I love and respect librarians, but I am not passionate about it in the same way that I'm passionate about environs and conservation. But I do genuinely just love libraries. I get to go tomorrow. I guess I don't know when they close. I might have time to go after stream today, but I doubt it. Actually, that's a great question. Nah, I'm not gonna have enough time. That's okay. At least not if I have to get dressed first. Well, everybody, with all that said about how great libraries are and how much RFK Jr. sucks and everything else, I guess I'm gonna dip for now, and I'm gonna go outside and enjoy some outside time. And my younger sibling is gonna cook stir fry tonight, and I'm looking forward to getting to eat that. Thank you for helping us get to the donation goal of today. Here's another flex for you, even though that hurts my shoulder like so bad. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry, Shakespeare. Life is hard today. Got hit by a car yesterday. Thankfully, no serious injury. Take the day off tomorrow if you can, because tomorrow is the day that it's going to hurt like a bitch. It's always the second day that's the worst. Take good care of yourself, though. That's crazy. Anyway, yes. Bye. Have a beautiful time.